What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Thursday. This is Alex Volkov. I'm coming to you live on June 4th on the highest signal AI news show that you can ever subscribe to. We've been at this for over 3.5 years, and we have been training. We have been training for weeks such as these, because this week was absolutely stacked with AI news from Jensen in the beginning of the week, and Minimax released a new version, and NVIDIA has just literally dropped in breaking news Nemotron 3 Ultra, and we're gonna have Chris Alexiuk, friend of the pod, to talk about this. And there's like 3 new image models. One of them is open source. We're gonna compare between all of them, and Microsoft came out of nowhere, declared to be a frontier lab. There's literally just a torrent of AI news, not to mention that supposedly at some point today, maybe there's going to be like a drop from OpenAI. We'll see. We're not in the speculation game. But as always, if you are tuning into Thursday, you know that we're going to try our best to cover all of this in just under 2 hours. We have 2 incredible guests today. We have Chris Alexiuk from NVIDIA, aka Joe Nemotron, the guy behind the Nemotron Ultra releases, the guy who writes the blog post. Our friend of the pod, Chris, is going to join us in about an hour. So please stay with us. As you see behind me, there's a green color to celebrate Team Green today. And in addition to this, to help me cover all this news, we have our friendly co-hosts here, Jan Peleg and Wolf from Reve Image. Welcome, guys. LDJ as well. How is everyone doing? Are you able to keep up this week? Because I'm struggling, and this is why I think we're here on Thursday.
The worst week ever, for sure. But I was traveling, so it made it even more difficult.
Either the worst week or the best week. Yam, how are you doing? Coming through, I think. Let us know what is the most important release this week for you.
I would like to, if it counts, I think the most important release is last week's release, is Opus. I'm just saying. I think it's a good model. I'm all for coming after Opus, but I think that's a good model. So.
You of course mean Opus 4.8 that dropped in the middle of our show. As always, for some reason, these labs prefer Thursdays for their releases. Maybe they just want to mess with us. So you've been enjoying Opus 4.8?
Oh yeah. It has its perks, can say, but yeah, absolutely.
Very nice.
I heard a rumor that we might get another breaking news. I'm just saying. I just heard a rumor, so we'll see.
Another lab, Yum.
But
from another lab.
Yeah, from another lab. Not mentioning names.
I will just say that if another big lab decides to drop any updates today, it's going to be very uncomfortable, because I have the show stacked back to back with news. And for that, even the banter that we usually do for like 5-10 minutes, we don't have time for this. I'm just going to ask you guys how you doing. LDJ, what's up, man? How are you doing?
Going good. Yeah, exciting things, especially.
Very echoey, LDJ, coming through as though you're from the other side of the room. You usually sound much better than this. Just let's make sure we have all the mics stacked up. And Wolfram, all right. Last but not least, Wolfram, you are traveling somewhere. You're in Vienna now? What's going on?
Right now, I'm in Vienna, right? So from Cologne to Vienna on Wednesday, and I was at the ICRA. Or ICRA, the International Congress for Robotics and Automation, manning our weights and biases by CoreWeave booth.
Nice. So obviously, Weights and Biases has a great presence. Weights and Biases by CoreWeave, which is the sole sponsor of the show. Folks, by the way, if you are listening to this and you're like, they're talking a lot of, they're glazing a lot of new AI releases, I wonder if those companies pay them. They do not. The only sponsor for the show is Weights and Biases from CoreWeave, and we are proudly presented by Weights and Biases from CoreWeave. Both me and Wolfram work at there, and as you know, we have a day job as well. And Wolfram actually did go and represent us at the ICRA International Convention for Robotics or something like that. Yeah,
robotics and automation. Yeah.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about that, just like briefly. Tell us if you met some people who are followers of Thursday, if there's anything interesting from that.
We have a lot of new followers, I can tell you that. Because a lot of people coming to our booth, they were just coming because they know Weights and Biases and they are avid users of it. So from that perspective, we didn't get many new customers, I guess. Just happy customers coming and talking to us and having some ideas and maybe showing them some of the other offerings we have. But few didn't know our podcast yet. So I told them about it, and it doesn't matter what kind of AI they are into, robotics, physical AI, LLMs, whatever it is, they all have this issue that they can't keep up with the news. And I told them we have a solution for that. Follow our podcast. And yeah, everybody is a potential user of our podcast that way.
Alrighty, so hey, if you are a potential listener, or if you are a new listener, if you followed us through the ICRA from Vienna, from Wolfram, or just found us somewhere online, hey, welcome. My name is Alex. This is Wolf from LDJ and Jan Peleg. We're just a part of the kind of the 6-person crew that are usually here on every Thursday to run through the most important AI updates in the world. We've been doing this for over 3.5 years. This is a live show, a podcast, and a newsletter. It's also, we're also at the conferences talking. We also have an evaluations with the Wolfram rounds called WolfBench. There's like a lot of stuff that's happened and spawned off out of thursdai, and this, would not work as well without you, the listeners. So if you are listening for the first time, hit that subscribe button, wherever you are, in YouTube, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on Twitter. If you are on Twitter, just repost, help us with the algorithm, because sometimes the AI algorithm doesn't prefer AI news for some reason. Because
and if you are from ICRA, if you're coming from ICRA or from Cologne, say hi, so we know that you are following us because of this.
Yes, yeah, and definitely the most important thing for us is your participation in comments, on the feeds. It's very important for us because we want to tune the show to whatever way that you like. So with that, I'm going to call out a few folks. Thank you for joining, folks. I really appreciate it. And I think it's time, because it's a very, very busy show, I think it's time for the TLDR. TLDR, too long didn't read, or too long didn't listen, too long didn't watch, is a segment of thursdai where we basically tell you everything that happened since the last show. The last cutoff is last Thursday. We run through it super quick. We try not to go into many details because we then spend quite a few time on each aspect of the show. This week has been a very busy week, especially in the world of open source. So I'm very excited to show you this. Let me see if I can pull this up. And once we can, we're going to go to TLDR. All right, there we go. Smooth right now. We have a bunch of comments. Hey, folks. Morning, everyone. From folks saying they liked and subscribed. There's really, really funny comments in there. You go check it out. I will just start the TLDR, and then we're going to run through. All right, this is it. This is a TLDR, this section of the AI where we just run through everything that we have on queue for you for today, Thursday, June 4th, our first show in June and first day of summer. And welcome. This is great. I'm excited for this. All right, folks, with you, Alex Volkov, AI evangelist with weights and biases, and CoreWeave. What's CoreWeave not here? CoreWeave. And with me, co-host today, Wolfram, Raven Wolf, Jan Peleg, and LDJ. Maybe we'll have Nistan join us in a bit. We have two great guests today. Chris Alexiuk from NVIDIA, aka Joe Nemotron, by the way, a friend of the pod that has been on the pod multiple times to talk about NVIDIA 3 Ultra, which also is breaking news, just dropped today. Another guest is Karan, co-founder of Nous Research, to talk to us about Hermes Agent, Hermes Desktop, and the incredible success that Nous Research has been seen lately with Jensen calling out Nous Research on stage. Computex, you guys see this? This is crazy. Huge shout out to Nous Research, our friends from way back. We talked with Nous Research way before they were even a company. So I love bringing Karan back to chat about their latest advancements. In the big companies...
I tested their models when Hermes referred to the models and not the agent. Now it has
Hermes models before the agent. Now it's changed a little bit. They're still a research lab. They're still releasing cool shit. All right. In big companies in the LEMS, I think that maybe we'll have some news about Joule Alpha, a potential GPT update, but we'll see. Meanwhile, NVIDIA decided they changed the PC game forever. NVIDIA RTX Spark NVIDIA RTX Spark was part of the announcements at NVIDIA's Computex. They're claiming that this is their first PC chip ever. They have an RTX 5070 class GPU, 128 gigabyte memory, and 1 petaflop of AI compute onto thin laptops. You guys see this? This is insane. They're able to run models, big models. This is Jensen obviously showing this up. They're able to run models on these laptops, and it's quite crazy trying to compete with MacBooks. We're going to chat about this a little bit. In addition, Microsoft kind of also announced laptops together with these RTX laptops. But Microsoft had their own event this week called Microsoft Build. They showcased a bunch of AI stuff. They switched to Agentic almost completely, very similar to Google I/O. Microsoft decided to not only come out with like best models, they also decided to say, hey, we're now a frontier adjacent lab, not quite a frontier lab. If you guys remember, Microsoft obviously was one of the first investors in OpenAI. Microsoft came out with 7 models from MAI. MAI is Microsoft AI's organization that is the result of the acqui-hire of Inflection AI. If you guys remember, we talked about Inflection a long time ago with Mustafa Suleiman and Karan Simonian, like a bunch of other great folks that built a near frontier lab, and now they trained models from scratch. Those are not fine-tunes of kind of open source Chinese models. They released 7 models across thinking, encode, image, transcription, and voice from zero distillation. Zero, like all of the data is sourced, and we're going to talk about them, specifically the image models, but also the thinking models. Obviously, here are the models: MAI Image 2.5, MAI Image 2.5 Flash, MAI Transcribe. MAI Thinking 1 is their new LLM, and MAI Code 1 Flash is the new LLM that's trained specifically for VS Code. I'm definitely going to chat about that. I think that this is it in the big companies in news. The only other thing that I can tell you is kind of because SpaceXAI is now a big company. It's SpaceX owns XAI that owns X, so it's SpaceXAI, and they're officially fired for IPO, and the prices there are insane. So we're gonna mention this a little bit. And TBD on Joule Alpha. Maybe OpenAI is gonna drop something, maybe not. Anything else from big companies, folks, before I move on? Wolfram, Yam, anything else, LDJ?
Nothing major. So there was an update from OpenAI for the instant model, GPT Instant.
Yep.
Yeah, just minor stuff, I think.
There's also stuff in Codex with like plugins and specific things, but I did not warrant that very interesting for this week because we have a bunch of other stuff to talk about.
Codex Sites is pretty interesting, actually, but it's also not a main release in that way, I think. But it can be useful for a lot of people, I think.
So just briefly to mention what this is, it's a new ability of Codex to actually build you websites and deploy them, I think on Cloudflare and a bunch of other places. The problem with that is that it's only enterprise. It's not landed for pro and ultra subscribers yet. And so we weren't able to test this necessarily to show you the examples. All right, folks, AI Art and Diffusion is the second order layer of important things that I have to bring to you because this week was just absolutely insane. Obviously, I just talked to you about like Microsoft MAI Image 2.5. They hit number 3 on text to image and number 2 on image to image arena leaderboards. Very briefly, shortly after that, yesterday, Ideogram dropped 4.0. We talked about Ideogram multiple times. They have opened the weight. So shout out to Ideogram. Let me have this shout out thing. Ideogram dropped the weight for their best text-to-image model, 9.3 billion parameters. It's a huge one, and they claim insane text rendering and layout control. I've tested all these models. I can't wait to show you my tests. But this beat, I think, Microsoft MAI on the benchmarks, and they are definitely the number 1 open model right now. They're beating FluxDev and QuenImage and Hunyuan, all these. So shout out to them for the open sourcing of the model. And we also had Reve 2.0. I told you about Reve. Folks, maybe remember Christian Control, the co-founder, used to be in I think, Stability. Reve is launching number 2 text-to-image model. All of them are competing for the number 2. Reve is now the number 2 one, above MAI Image, above some other ones. This one is a layout-based model. It's a very interesting approach. You kind of see the layout shaping as the model converges. I would love to show you kind of some generations from Reve and their editor specifically. I have compared all of these models. I can't wait to show you for the thumbnails for this week. So I will show you that. So a lot of news in the AI art and kind of like image diffusion world, although some of these are no longer diffusions. And then we go to open source. Open source has been on fire this week. Obviously, I think it feels to me that the biggest news is the news that dropped from today. I rarely do this, but I think in the middle of TLDR, we're going to go to breaking news because this literally just happened. AI breaking news coming at you only on thursdai. Alrighty, the biggest breaking news from today from the world of open source is NVIDIA drops Nemotron 3 Ultra. We talked about Nemotron 3 before. Nemotron 3 Ultra is a 550 billion parameter beast. It's a hybrid Mamba transformer. It's an open model, fully open, including the data, and it's built for long-running agents. And for some reason, it has 5x faster inference. We're going to talk with Chris Alexiuk from NVIDIA about this release, but it's a very, very interesting release, especially in the world of open source. NVIDIA is not playing around, folks. NVIDIA is not playing around. And it's great to see that fully American-baked open source is catching up. I am saving our comments about this model for when Chris comes here in an hour. I will say, though, another breaking news is that we have this model up on CW Inference. So shout out to the folks who work really, really hard. CoreWeave Inference based on Western biases is now serving Nemotron 3 Ultra in full FP. Sorry, it was an NVFP8, NVFP4. Yes. Precision. Okay, we're gonna move on. This came out less smooth than I liked, but it's okay because we can edit the show later. Folks, we also have a new Google Gemma. Did you guys see this? We have a Gemma 4, 12 billion parameter, a little bit bigger. They call it encoder-free multimodal model. It runs on your laptop with 60 gigabytes VRAM with full Apache 2 license, which is great to see. JetBrains dropped a small model also on CW Inference. It's a 12 billion parameter model with 2.5 billion active parameters. Trained from scratch by a team of 7 people from JetBrains. Shout out to the JetBrains folks. They have some comparisons here. I don't know if we have quite enough time to go deep into Mellum, but Mellum 2 from JetBrains. It's great to see. And I think a big one. It's not fully open source yet, but definitely a big one. Wolfram, you can confirm. I see you nodding. Minimax M3 drops the first soon open weights model combining front encoding, 1 million sparse attention context, and native multimodality, which is huge. This is huge news. So shout out to Minimax for their releases, and not yet open weights, but I heard that they're coming out next week. And the last but not least, we have the H company, Holo 3.1. We kept updating you about the French H company, but I haven't actually played with their models yet. So we'll see. We also have somebody in the comments saying that going back to the AI art in the fusion world, Grok announced XAI announced Grok Imagine 1.5 preview. So I hope that this was this week. If yes, please send me the links to that. I would love to talk about this and compare this to other ones. Let's see something else from comments. Folks, anything else in open source? Although we don't have time to mention anything else. This has been a very busy open source week. Anything else?
Did we mention Reve?
Which one?
Reve 4K.
Oh, Reve. I call it Reve, but you mean Reve? You mean the image model, right?
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Yeah. Not open source, but okay. Moving forward to...
You mentioned Gemma?
We did mention Gemma. Folks, what's going on with you today?
Just checking.
Yes, okay.
It's so much stuff.
Yes, definitely tons of stuff. Okay, moving on to tools in agentic engineering. Let me just go back to the folks who are new and say, hey, this is not the show format. We're not just like dumping a bunch of like news highlights for you and moving on. This is the TLDR. This is everything that happened. Out of this, we're going to choose the most important things to kind of dive deep on. So please stay with us as I shoot through this super quick so we can get to the actual show. Some folks prefer this format. Some folks prefer just the highlights so they can go and explore on their own. Let's talk about tools in agentic engineering. Cognition rebrands Windsurf. You guys remember Windsurf? Windsurf is no longer. Windsurf is dead. They rebranded Windsurf to Devin Desktop. It's a multi-agent command center with ACP support. ACP stands for Agent Communication Protocol, I believe. Wolfram, please correct me if I'm wrong. but basically it's the way where you ask one agent to control another agent, so you can control Codex and Cloud Code, etc.
Isn't that the one that has two different meanings?
Yeah, but I specifically mean the one that you can control other agents. Yes, but agent client protocol is the right nomenclature for this. And Windsurf is now Devin Desktop. So bye bye Windsurf. We've missed you. It's been a year since your last rebrand, and this is finally the final one. And our friends from Nous Research launched Hermes Desktop. It's your Hermes agent goes native on the Mac, Windows, and Linux in public preview. So you can just do Hermes Desktop as a command. You have this beautiful desktop experience. We're gonna hopefully have screenshots of it because I cannot run this on my work laptop. But we're gonna have Karan, a co-founder of Nous Research, talk about this latent success, exploding success for Hermes Agent with showcases on NVIDIA Computex stage and tons of exposure as well. Alrighty, this week's was a corner where we talk about weights and biases and CoreWeave. We have a few things for you. First of all, you can join us for this weekend at Weave Hacks 4. This is a coming weekend. We have few spots left. If you're in San Francisco or want to travel in San Francisco, I'm actually flying out tomorrow. Please join us at lou.ma/weavehacks. We have OpenAI for the first time as a sponsor for Weave Hacks. We also have Cursor. We have a bunch of credits for you, a bunch of food, a bunch of great judges that I reached out personally. So shout out to some of the judges. And then please join us at Weave Hacks 4. The next thing that I want to tell you about, I already said, NVIDIA Nemotron Ultra is up on the CW Inference at full NVFP4 precision. So you can use it right now, and we'll show a demo of that. And Wolfram, do you have a one or two sentence about this update?
Yeah, basically I added to my 2D graphs a 3D view where the depth of the bars now shows how many tokens were used in the benchmark. So you see the scores, but you also see how many tokens it took to get the scores. And that shines a different light on certain models because they may be fast and smart, but only because they use so many tokens. So the price may actually be higher than you expect.
That's great. You were able to do this with two sentences. Folks who just are joining us are new. We evaluate models by vibes, but also we evaluate models by testing them on coding and kind of tasks that you would give them. Wolfbench AI is the effort by our great Wolfram here, evaluator in-house in chief, that evaluates models and harnesses together based on the harness framework, the Harbor framework from the Terminal Bench folks. And we have just updated Wolfbench AI with also the view to show you how many tokens each of these models used to get to that score, because it's very important. Because if you have the same model saying the same score, but one of them gets there much faster, it's very important. The recent Frontier Labs are showing this as well, and so we're now showing this to you as well. It's not super easy to do, so great effort from Wolfram to show this, and we'll show this later on the show. Right. Last but not least, last corner, folks. We're almost there, almost starting. Let's add Nistan here as well. Voice and audio. So this is actually launched last week, but it was after the show. ElevenLabs launched Dubbing V2. If you are a follower of the newsletter or the actually only the newsletter, you've seen my attempts at this. You've seen me dubbing me and Nistan to speak Hebrew and Russian. It's really funny, but it wasn't on the live show, so I'll show you this on the live show this week. ElevenLabs Dubbing V2 is an audio-to-audio model that preserves emotion and performance across 90 languages. It is uncannily good. It is crazy good. It is just trust me on this. My head is not getting as blown anymore because we follow all news all the time and kind of the LLMs are incremental updates. This broke my brain a little bit. This is so crazy good that you must stay here until the end of the show to hear us play with this. Really, it's something. Yam, you weren't here when this happened, but when you hear Nistan speak in Hebrew and you're like, oh shit, this is how Nistan would sound if he actually spoke Hebrew, you will blow your gasket. It's that crazy. So definitely the dubbing is incredible. We also have Cartesia Ink too. Shout out to Cartesia, friends of the pod. They've been here multiple times with a bunch of their models. They're leading their models because their models are hybrids or Mamba transformer based, and Ink 2 debuts as #1 most accurate streaming speech to text model on artificial analysis. #1 most accurate speech-to-text model. It is really, really good. I tested it there last week as well. You can see this in word error rate. This is the lowest word error rate that we've ever seen on the show. And breaking news from today, I did not actually know that this is going to drop. NVIDIA also drops Nemotron 3.5 ASR. It's an open source multilingual streaming speech-to-text model. It's faster and cheaper than anything else on the market. So this is news from last week. And then NVIDIA dropped faster and cheaper in open source. And our friends from Daily, Quindla Kramer from Daily and Pipekit tested this out. So in addition to just dropping one of the best LLMs in the world, NVIDIA also dropped one of the best ASRs and text-to-speech in the world as well. And so we're going to definitely test out all of those, folks. With how do you do 20 minutes? let's go to open source, I think, because we have a bunch of stuff to talk about. But this is the TLDR. This is everything that we have to talk about. I will not ask my co-host if anything I missed, but please text me if I did anything. Wolfram, it looks like it's time for you to drop and come back to us afterwards.
Yeah, got a parallel meeting to attend, so I will be back soon. All
right, we'll see you. We'll see you guys. Folks, Wolfram is not just going for any meeting. It's actually a very important meeting for the WE-bench stuff and Thursday as well. So we're going to look forward for him to come back with news. Meanwhile, we'll welcome Nistan as we go to open source. Nistan, how are you doing, sir? Let's test your microphone and see that we're good.
Okay, it's good. All right.
Yeah, it works well. All right, let's do open source. Open source AI, let's get it started. Alrighty, folks, welcome to the Open Source Corner. We love open source on Thursdai, and so today we're going to talk about actually two segments about open source. Chris Alexiuk is going to join us in, I think, 45 minutes from NVIDIA. So definitely we're going to wait for that and then cover the whole NVIDIA Nemotron 3 Ultra and the ASR model then. But first, we're going to shout out the folks from Gemma. Do you guys see the new Gemma release? 12 billion parameter encoder-free multimodal model. Yam or Nistan or LJ, actually, one of you, please tell our audience, if you don't mind, why encoder-free matters at all. Why does it matter when they release a new multimodal model that they specifically mention encoder-free? I would love a few sentences for folks while I show kind of the details. LDJ, I saw you raise your hand. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so you could think of the encoder. Actually, first, is my mic better now?
Yeah, you sound incredible.
Okay. So the encoder part, you could think of it as almost like another network that oftentimes has its own training and is going to be used to basically translate information such as images into something that can be better understood by signals sent to the actual main model. Encoder free gets rid of this, and you actually have it more cohesive, more like you would ideally think maybe the human brain works, where it's all in one unified network, all trained together, and everything is just directly input into the model, and everything just tokenized with all modalities instead of having these kind of separate encoding steps.
Thank you, LJ. That's great. So one model, cohesive, unified to handle text, images, audio, and video with just 16 gigabytes of VRAM and Apache 2 license. Yeah, I see you nodding. What do you think about this release? I think it's fucking incredible from the Gemma team at this size.
Oh yeah, look. For those that don't care if it's a different network or how it's trained, you simply get a cheaper model to run. Like you get a model that understands videos and images, and I think also audio as well.
Yep.
For much cheaper, and you don't need a very powerful computer to run it. That thing can absolutely run on pretty much, mid-range to top-tier laptops tonight, even less maybe. It's a small model. You can just use this thing on your laptop and, I don't know, go on a flight or something. Not be connected to the internet, and everything is private. It's yours. Not to mention that you can customize it, which is absolutely crazy. But I mean, that's a great release. Seriously, that's impressive. It was never done at this scale, open source before.
I want, Nissan, before we get to you, super quick, I just want to call out the great effort from Google, in addition to NVIDIA, in addition to some other folks, that they push out commercial models, but they also push out open source. So a huge shout out to the open source team and Omar Sansiviro and a bunch of other folks who we chatted on at Google I/O for pushing for open source relentlessly within this big enterprise called Google. It's not given that such an enterprise that wants to be a frontier lab, achieve AGI before everybody else, Demis Hassabis wants to, to fix the world. It's not trivial for them to also release some of their stuff in open source, and they do. And we want to give a huge shout out for this. Nistan, this model is a 12 billion parameter model. The previous Gemma was 27, so almost twice the size, like two and a half times the size. And this is a 12 billion parameter model that beats the previous model and is faster to run. Talk to me about this advance rate. Like, what's going on? Is this is this in line with what we see? Is this accelerating?
Yes, I think so. What I find particularly impressive with this one is that it's almost as if they listened to the criticism from people a lot, and training to be a lot better when it's coding and when it's doing agentic calling. Now, I don't see that in the benchmarks, but I do see it in a lot of people switching their Hermes Agent from Qwen 27B and trying to switch down to Gemma 12B. So there has been some great improvements in that, and more so than on the other models. And yeah, not have, especially for video, to have a separate encoder. It makes it pretty tough because you have to decide like how many frames are you going to compress and so on and so forth. And it's a lot better to do that intrinsically inside the big transformer itself. So yeah, unfortunately, I did not try it yet, but I'm seeing quite a few reports of people switching some of their local workloads to this. So it looks like it's actually good, not just benchmark good, but would love to see what Wolfbench eventually pops up on this.
100%. The thing that I wanted to call out, I want to go and find this. Hopefully, you guys can see my screen.
I just want to correct something. It's not as if they listen. They have a Discord server where they actually are there, and you can speak to them. Like, the Gemma community is huge, and they absolutely listen to what people are saying, and this is the result of this. So I credit where credit is due. They are absolutely doing this for the love of the game, absolutely for episodes. They absolutely listen.
I want to try to zoom in here on this stat. This is the Hugging Face collection for Gemma. And you can see the previous Gemma kind of release, the 31B. It has 11 million downloads. And the A4B variant for Gemma 26 has 11.8 million downloads. Folks, these are very popular models in the open source. This is not standard kind of Hugging Face release count for a model that was released, a month and a half ago or something like that, right? The other Gemma, the smaller ones, the E2B has like 3 million. I think they crossed like 100 million downloads overall for all their models. But these models, I just like, and I expect the 12B model to also to get right. Like these numbers, yeah, you agree. Like, this is great releases that folks are using on their actual laptops. It's not like, hey, you get 1 token per second, so you're saying, hey, I'm running a local mod, but not really. These models are getting used by folks. So huge shout out to the Gemma team.
Yeah,
the idea. Look, there is a very good reason for this. There is a very clear use case for these specific type of models that are small, can run fast, and can do agentic work. They might not be the best to talk to, even though they are good.
Yeah,
they can drive your computer for free indefinitely. And many people recognize that. And
I would say
is exactly this slot for this.
Here's
models.
one use case, a perfect use case for Gemma. that you don't need a lot of like tokens to do. If you're doing batch video processing, for example, and you want to do this offline, and you don't want to send your videos because they're private to you and your family, you can definitely categorize a bunch of videos with this Gemma model. If you're doing a batch audio processing, for example, or if you, for example, building a personal knowledge memory for yourself that sees everything on your screen. Maybe you don't want a Codex Chronicle feature to do this for you. Maybe you want a full offline thing for you, and maybe you only care about the memory tomorrow. You don't care about this immediately. Gemma can process this in your background very easily. So this is like a great use case for that. In I think the video is 60-second video chunks. That's plenty to do transcription of everything that you did and give you a summary of all of the stuff that you did. You can record audio and listen. Anyway, this is like super cool.
Yeah, my biggest problem with 31B while trying to use it in my doctor app was that it was pretty good at the benchmarks, but it could not do anything agentically. And it was pretty bad at the agentic stuff. So I could only use Quen 327B as the bare minimum. But it looks like this one has just completely different training. So I am also somewhat excited to see how they update the larger ones for this. So yeah.
All right, folks.
Just a question.
Go ahead.
Because you said an interesting thing. You said that on the benchmark they look good. On agentic benchmarks they look good, and then they don't work well as agents. Or
I meant like medical VQA and things like that. Just like looking at X-rays, looking at videos. They would do good in static tests or just one-shot tests. But then if you go to multi-step and you want to pull in a whole bunch of new data, they were just kind of useless. Well, for me, in the app, because it didn't have that training. So this is a kind of a big change on their part, I think. So it will be very interesting to see what exactly they changed in the... Yeah, I'm going to try it. We'll post on Twitter about it. I think this might become like the most... There's a chance this might become one of the most used Hermes open source now, because at the moment it's still the Quen 27B.
Yep. And I think it's great to see Western labs just pushing this to the frontier and keep pushing this. So shout out to the Gemma team, definitely. Folks, let's move on briefly. So obviously we're going to talk about Nemotron very, very soon. I want to call out JetBrains Mellum, 12 billion MOE with only 2.5 active. JetBrains, obviously the company that used to build the IDE. The IDE is kind of dying, so it's very interesting that JetBrains is trying to reinvent based on the data that they had. Very similar path to Cursor, selling to SpaceX AI, for example, their data. They are trying to build models, and they're actually comparing to Quen 3.5 and Ministral, a fully European company. So shout out to Mellum. It's up on CW Inference if you want to check that out. Shout out to the JetBrains folks. They like... Nothing too much to talk about this model there besides the pre-trained with 10 trillion tokens with a 3-stage curriculum. A very small team, good model. So shout out to JetBrains for releasing that.
Keep in mind, JetBrains is used by people with actual jobs. So, so the quality of their data, I suspect, even though it's like Java and stuff, but I think the actual quality of their data is probably a lot higher.
I absolutely think that JetBrains has been in the game way before Cursor. So however much data the Cursor had, I actually think that Cursor collected data, and JetBrains for the longest time was just an ID without collecting data. So, it remains to be seen how much access to data they have. But for now, Mellum is a pretty decent model. So shout out to the JetBrains team. Folks, talk to me about Minimax. Minimax has been accused of multiple stuff. This is a Chinese company. Minimax M3 drops as the first open-ways model combining frontier coding and 1 million sparse attention context. It didn't actually drop. My evals here are a little blurry, but like on SWE-bench Pro, they're getting 59. On Terminal Bench, they're getting 66. Talk to me about Minimax M3. What are you seeing from the vibes, the community? Obviously, we haven't tested this yet. It's not an open source model yet, but it is going to be an open weights model. The license, though, will require a lot of stuff. So it's not a very fully open source model. Go ahead. But folks, what did you hear about Minimax M3, if at all?
I can tell you a very interesting part from the previous Minimax model was that people that were not like developers and stuff, and we're just trying out Hermes and setting up agents. They loved it. It did the job for them. And yeah, I had some criticism on the benchmarking part that it wasn't as good as it seemed. But what Minimax always had, it was very good at the agentic tool calling. Very, very good at that. Even though the coding quality was it could do agentic stuff very, very well. And people rely on this because it's so cheap as a replacement to I've heard of people running their OpenClaws and their Hermes on Minimax exclusively for almost all of their like internal automation stuff that they do. So
very cheap model for sure. Very cheap model.
Yeah,
and obviously, you know, the risk you take with sending your data to Minimax's platform is that all your data is potentially being trained on by, you know, Chinese companies. But Minimax is definitely a very interesting model for folks. So test it out. Let us know.
Yeah,
and
I asked them that. Sorry to interrupt. And
no, you're good.
Yeah, and a lot did not. I mean, some of them were in crypto. Some were just like looking at stocks or preparing the news and stuff for themselves, and they were aware of it. And they said, yeah, I do still have like a Codex or a Cloud Code subscription, but for most of the stuff, I just give it the work that I don't care, or like monitoring stocks and
yeah. But also, once this drops in open weights, many companies, including CW on Inference, will host this, and then your data is going to stay kind of like on the side that you do care about. There's also zero retention companies that promise you on Open Router, etc., that they will not store your data. I want to just call out Minimax very strongly here. The benches they're putting up, despite being let's say accused of benchmarking, they're putting up Opus 4.7 and GPT 5.5 as comparisons, right? So this is a Chinese frontier lab competing with American frontier labs, and look, on different benchmarks, they're coming very close. On some of them, they're even beating. Like, I don't know if I care about SVG-bench as well, but like definitely GDP Val and Browse Comp and some of these are very, very interesting, right? So like SWE-bench Pro, for example, we know SWE-bench Pro is a great coding benchmark, and they're getting 59 compared to 58.6 on GPT 5.5. Now, after seeing Deep SWE, we know for a fact that SWE-bench Pro is not representative of the real world of coding. Deep SWE is the new eval that was released, and some folks in comments are actually asking us to talk about Deep SWE comparison to SWE-bench Pro, and we talked about Deep SWE multiple times now. Deep SWE is kind of like more representative of the stuff that at least I feel like. I want to hear you guys about Deep SWE as well. But from the data curve, I think Deep SWE is a contamination-free coding benchmarks, and as far as the latest, GPT 5.5 is absolutely crushing everything, and the gaps between the models are big. So this is what we want. We want to see gaps. So comparing Minimax on some older coding benchmark like SWE-bench Pro, where we see this is not the representative of the real world, is not super helpful. So I can't wait for that to be run on Deep SWE. I don't know if anybody ran Minimax on Deep SWE, but we'll see. Yeah, we're moving on, folks. Any last comments about Minimax? Shout out to Minimax team, by the way. They're friends of the pod. They've been on the pod multiple times, and they're doing incredible work. And I can't wait to actually put Minimax on the CW Inference. I'm not putting this. Shout out to the huge team that's working on this and putting this on the Inference and doing VLM stuff. Shout out to the Inference team at with CoreWeave. But I can't wait to test it out and play with it.
I think it's free right now in open code. So if you just install open code, like another week. So yeah, you can just try it out there. Oh, especially if you're on Windows, install OpenCode on Windows. I have tested the previous Minimax. You don't even need to register an account, so it'll be there. I think they self-host as well in the US, and it's super fast too. It's very few active parameters. Yeah, this will be a very popular one. It looks like this will be extremely popular.
We have a tiny breaking news thing, just a very tiny one from OpenAI. So let's cover this without the button, without anything. Dreaming, a better memory for more helpful ChatGPT. Do you guys remember we talked about OpenClaw adding dreaming a little bit? dreaming is kind of this way of creating agentic memory that simulates how human memory works, where you remember stuff actively, but then when you go to sleep, some stuff getting processed and put in your memory in your brain. So ChatGPT just launched. Today we begin to roll out a more capable and scalable system for synthesizing memory, developed to tackle the stainless correctness and scalability issues that we observe with memory is applied to hundreds of millions of users in multi-year time horizons in ChatGPT. They're talking about, and we should previously mention, we're still in the open source area, but like we should start switching to the big companies and APIs. Memory is problematic, specifically because when your ChatGPT remembers multiple times and all of this gets injected to the context, the agent or the chat doesn't have any understanding of what's more important than what. They basically shove this all into context, and for them, the memory from a year ago and memory from now is kind of the same weights. And also stale memory is stale memory a problem, but also like wrong memory is a problem. So ChatGPT has apparently has try to solve this. And the update is available to Plus and Pro users in the US and will roll out to additional countries. Memory has evolved, blah, blah, blah. Let's see about the actual context here. Okay, here it is. Over the last year, Dreaming supplemented saved memories to create step function improvement in ChatGPT ability to personalize responses and offset the staleness. However, historically has never sufficient. Today, we're launching a significantly more capable, compute-efficient memory architecture built on top of Dreaming. The memories synthesized by Dreaming are reviewable through a summary. Let me zoom in here a little bit. The memory synthesized by Dreaming are reviewable through a summary made visible in the memory summary page. From the memory summary, you can quickly glean the highlights of what ChatGPT knows about you, add or update information, and provide instructions of what topics ChatGPT should bring up and when. If you want to drill down a particular area, just chat with the model. I think it's really cool. And they have a bunch of new evaluations. So Dreaming V3, this is now a new version of memories in ChatGPT. And should we celebrate the actual 1 billion while we're out here? Folks, ChatGPT is officially crossed the 1 billion users. I think it's weekly users.
Weekly active.
Mm-hmm. Weekly active. Thank you, LDJ. So yeah, so with this memory, ChatGPT is now serving this to 1 billion weekly active users. This is the fastest product in the world's history that crossed the 1 billion threshold. I think Gemini is going to come after them next, but shout out to ChatGPT. LDJ had comments about the 1 billion or the memory dreaming thing?
The memory, yeah. So Claude actually had this feature. I'm not sure if it was maybe specifically in developer mode, but I remember seeing in Claude this setting where they might have not called it dreaming, but it mentioned how if you enabled this feature each night, every day the model would end up processing the context from that day and create a summary for the future. And what I really liked about that is it does give some transparency in what is contained in that summary and what is contained in that memory, and it gives you the ability to edit that as well over time.
Yeah.
And what I didn't like about how ChatGPT has been doing a lot of their memory is that like they do have that, that specific memory section where it shows you the things you can edit, but there's also this whole other side on ChatGPT's memory system where it's very non-transparent and it's clearly also remembering a bunch of things that are not in that explicit editable memory bank. And this dreaming feature, the fact that they're saying that you can edit it and everything, I think that's really important, and it's good for people to have transparency into the memories of their agents.
Yeah, and we have a comment as well saying that OpenAI is 1 month behind Anthropic, which launched Dreaming on May 6th. I actually remember that we talked about Dreaming for Anthropic here on the show, so I maybe have missed it. Maybe it wasn't that interesting. But here's the highlight, and before we move on, I want to highlight this. Dreaming memories are automatically updated as time passes, allowing ChatGPT to revise its memory from "you're going to Singapore in July" to "you went to Singapore in July 2026" when the trip ends. Then when you're back home, ChatGPT can again provide recommendations that are tailored to your home location and time zone. I think it's very important. It's very annoying when you talk to an agent and you ask something and it's like it assumes that you're somewhere else. So stale memory is definitely a problem. I'm hoping that this is going to get built and included in every chatbot. And also I'm hoping that somehow my memory is going to be portable between chatbots because I'm everywhere and my Hermes needs to know the same things. And hopefully this comes to Codex as well. So shout out to the Codex team, because the other thing that I wanted to briefly mention without the news items is that it's very clear that Codex is going to be the super app for ChatGPT. Folks, if you haven't tried Codex yet, all of the 1 billion users are going to get slowly shoved into Codex, slowly but very surely by OpenAI, because OpenAI is going to turn Codex into the super app. And yeah, it's going to be very exciting. Folks, we're 1 hour-ish, almost 1 hour-ish into the show. I do want to switch gears to...
Oh, we have
Go ahead, Nissan.
minor breaking news.
Ooh.
Arena AI, they just posted in our group chat that they launched the new agentic benchmark. I just pasted the link here.
Yeah,
Let's go. We need this.
Yeah, it's Arena leaderboard Arena for agentic stuff. Because I haven't read it yet what it is.
Let's take a look. Introducing Agent Arena, folks. Let's do breaking news. I think it's warranted. It's warranted. Our friends from Arena, Peter Gostev, and a bunch of other folks, we look at their stuff all the time. AI breaking news coming at you only on Thursday. Righty, introducing Agent Arena. Let's zoom in here. From Arena AI, real-world agentic evals at scale. How do you evaluate agents doing actual work? We measure millions of live sessions where real users accomplish these tasks. Models get the web search, file system, and terminal tools to complete complex workflows, writing code, creating slide decks, researching the web. Every session produces rich signals. Users iterate on agent turn by turn, approving, editing, and correcting, expressing frustration. The biggest thing about Arena AI for the longest time was, hey, Arena was built at the era of chatbots, where you would ask one prompt and you would receive a reply, and they would ask people, hey, is A or B better for you? Obviously, we've moved on in 2025 from this paradigm, and we've moved on into 2026 with everybody using agents. And so the chatbot comparisons no longer works. So Arena launches a new leaderboard, measuring each model agentic performance using causal inference across 5 signals: task success, steerability, error recovery, user praise, and tool hallucination. Leaderboard snapshots is built from 300,000 tasks, 2 million tool calls, and 40 million lines of code by agents. 40 million lines of code is not that much, but yeah, okay. Maybe it's a lot. Okay, so results. The top labs in Agent Arena, OpenAI GPT 5.5 High is number 1 by a very nice margin. Very nice margin. Claude Opus 4.7 is just after that, and 5.4 after that, and Claude Opus 4.6. You can see how, look at this. Look at who we have here. Let's welcome Peter from Arena AI as we're covering the Arena. Peter, thank you for dropping on the show while we're also covering the new Arena.
3-minute notice. We just saw the post, and then this is how fast we can do things.
All right, Peter. So I already told folks who are listening to this, kind of the original Arena was built for the era of chatbots, right? Like when people just sent a prompt and got a reply, and then they compared between the two. But obviously, the world is moving to agentic. What can you tell us about this benchmark? What can you tell us about the results? And also, welcome back. It's great to see you.
Yeah. Good to see you guys. Yeah, this is super exciting. We've been thinking about how to do this for a while, so we wanted to do it right, and I think we got it really right. So the way the Arena used to work is that it still can work like that, but there's a battle mode where you can go in, you put in the message, you get 2 responses, you vote which one is better, and this is genuinely captures like way more than you think. Considering how kind of basic it sounds, the fact that it works at all is kind of amazing. The fact that you get like pretty reasonable ratings. But there's something that definitely was missing about this, and we heard a lot about this from the community, is that we would kind of miss some of this kind of longer kind of more difficult tasks that can go on for many minutes and hours. And now we've launched 2 things. One is the actual Agent Arena. So now we've got the agent mode that you've got in here. So you can, like, say, build me a website or whatever it is. So you can kind of do whatever you would do in your kind of more agentic products. And you get like a workspace with the files on the side, and you can like do many complicated things. You can search, you can generate images. So you can basically, like, as what you would expect to see in a kind of in an agentic product, you can do. So this is first really cool thing. And then what it gives us is that we can measure what people tell us about what the experience is. There are two things. They're kind of actually multiple things. So one is if you scroll down, maybe we'll go back to what the final results are. But lower down, we can see the actual sub metrics that we're measuring. So there's like, for example, confirmed success. This is from the users, like praise, complaint, again from the users. In terms of they don't see which model did the thing, but then they say did they like it or not, and then we collect that feedback.
Nice.
And then there are more objective things like bash recovery, for example, and so this is like an objective thing that being measured, and then we also put that into the rating. So it's a kind of combination of users' judgment, which is important for kind of softer tasks, but also the objective things like the hallucinated tool, for example.
Hallucination looks like all of the scores are within the very close range of like 152%. How much more hallucination tells it doesn't have? So it looks like a very, very small benchmark, but could you talk more about this?
If you expand, there's like view all 18 models. If you scroll down more, then it gets worse. For some of them. There's one, there's bash recovery is an interesting one where if all of them look reasonable until you scroll down, and Grok really falls down on that. So that's why you see Grok is really bad.
Wow.
So I think that's kind of...
Let's call this out for folks who are just listening. I just want to say, bash recovery is how quickly the model recovers when a command doesn't work. Obviously, Agentic is very important. This is what happens in the loop, right? The model tries a tool, the model writes some code for it, and then the model decides to like, hey, maybe I need to like try a different flag or a different parameter, etc. We're seeing that bash recovery, GPT 5.5 High is the best at bash recovery. The score is 17%. And when we scroll down, we see the Grok 4.3 from XAI is really bad at it. Worse than the Gemma 431B and Gemini 3 Flash and the older models like Minimax M2 very bad at 89%. This looks like almost like a bug in kind of like how they trained the model. This is very, very interesting.
I love this because we were just calling out Gemma 431B for being bad agentically on the show, just anecdotally about how we feel about this. And we're saying, oh, if we had a benchmark that showed this better, and then the benchmark just showed up. That was 20 minutes ago.
Awesome.
So about this also, Peter, just before we continue, is that this does represent how I currently and the vibes currently on our feeds kind of talk about models. GPT 5.5 High is by absolutely the best agentic model, especially if you're using coding. And if you want to do some like stuff less coding focused, Claude Opus 4.7 is really a great model. It doesn't look like you tested 4.8, or maybe there's not enough data for that one yet.
Yeah, 4.8 is coming. I think we should have it probably like Monday, Tuesday. Everything, because it's very new, we just want to make sure that everything works correctly and so on, that there's not like any bugs or something. So we're just taking it a little bit slower, so we don't announce a result that is wrong. But yeah, we should have it pretty soon.
Yeah, I also love the fact that there's the models and the labs. So you can collapse all of the OpenAI and just say, hey, OpenAI is the leading agentic one, Anthropic behind them. And very interestingly, based on this, you have ZAI with the GLM models. MIT license fully is number 3 for Agent Arena. On top of Google, on top of Kimi Moonshot, on top of DeepSeek, ZAI comes at 3rd place for GLM 5.1. This is very interesting. Very, very interesting.
Yeah, they seem to do really well. Yeah, and when I was testing, the models, they seem to do pretty well on agentic stuff, on the kind of coding stuff. Yeah, they're quite impressive.
Very, very impressive. All right, Peter. First of all, it's great to have you back. Congrats on this release. It's not easy. Let's see if Build Me the Most Beautiful Website in the World finished. Okay, we did finish. I'm just like showing the folks that I'm like actually using the Agentic Arena right now, and I'm having this Elysian Enter Garden design, what feels alive. I've seen better websites, but it's not too bad. Was the task successful? I will say yes. You can also say keep working. And so I'm kind of like getting your questions after the finished task, right?
And you can keep using it as you would kind of any other agentic tool. More generally as well, like this is very new. Any feedback you guys have about the leaderboard or the way the tool works? Yeah, we're very keen to like keep making it better. So yeah, hopefully you'll see some improvements as well as we go.
I'll tell you, the only feedback I potentially could have is that I don't see myself going to a different agent when I already have the agent set up with my context and everywhere else. If I was able to like provide somehow my feedback based on tasks that my actual agents did and send it to you guys, that feel to me like if you would tap into the whole horde of people who have Hermes or OpenClaws, whatever, and they somehow sent you their tasks, that would be like super cool and representative.
Yeah, no, awesome. I can't remember if we shipped this feature already, but we were looking to connect to GitHub as well. I know that's not quite what you mean, but in terms of the steps getting towards it, yeah, there's definitely a big opportunity there.
Yep. So, Peter, thank you so much for joining. We know it's lunchtime. When they say lunchtime, and you guys just launched, and you need to go and look at these lunches. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, Peter Gostev from Arena. Welcome, new, you could say, infrequent co-host of Thursday to talk about different models, and we'll be back with us, I'm sure, when new models drop. If you have any comments on the stuff that we're going to talk about next, feel free to stick around. But otherwise, I know like when folks lunch, they're busy, so let us know.
I had a very quick question. How did you guys build this? What kind of difficulties did you find in like running sandboxes for the users? And how is it measured? Is this measured on user input or?
Yeah, so it's a kind of a combination of user like providing feedback directly. Then it's also looking at more objective factors, like for example, yeah, did it recover from the tool call, for example, did hallucinate some tools, like things like that. So we can kind of combine different things. Yeah, and in terms of building it, yeah, we the team was doing a lot of work in terms of doing the infrastructure lift of creating sandboxes, making sure that all of the different harnesses work well. Like there's a ton of work like that. But yeah, it's pretty much a whole new separate line that we didn't have before. Yeah, so it took quite a lot of effort from the team. And I would also say methodologically from our ML team, this was like pretty cool piece of work to just come up with like a way, how do we even measure this? This was quite innovative. So yeah, shout out to the team.
Yeah, that is great. And I think, okay, so the last benefit obviously is while I would love to see real world agent users like Hermes, OpenClaw, whatever, you guys have access to models before people with Hermes OpenClaws have access to models, right? And so usually different companies send you pre-API access and you will be able to surface them in agents. So when folks are using agents via Arena, they may get kind of the next unreleased model that's about to release just because you want to test it out, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and quite often, I mean, this a little bit behind the scenes is that, yeah, when we test the models, especially if they're about to come out, we do kind of prioritize those models. So it's not kind of a random chance, it's above random chance. So yeah, whenever we are testing and you guys have a feeling that there's a new model coming around, then yeah, I think Arena is a good place to go and see if you get a good model.
In an agentic execution code. Well, this is great. Peter, thank you so much for joining, for hopping on. Congrats on this release. We'll definitely be looking at agentic scores, Agent Arena. Just dropped on Arena AI. Folks, go play with this and tell us what you think as well. Give us feedback as well. Peter, always fun to have you. And we need to move on because there's a bunch of stuff. And we're going to talk about some image models as well. Now, I think before we still have Nemotron 3 Ultra coming up as a conversation with Chris Alexiuk, but before this, folks, let's talk about image models. There's been a lot. And I think we have to start with Microsoft's MAI Image because I think folks in comments are asking. So let's go to Microsoft generally and then to MAI Image and then we'll move on. Microsoft launched 7 models at Build 2026. 7 models. We've been talking about the Microsoft stuff for quite a while since the acqui-hire of Inflection AI, where Mustafa Suleyman became the CEO of Microsoft AI. Mustafa also took the stage after Satya to talk about kind of their pre-trained from scratch models. They launched 7 models across thinking, code, image, transcribe, and voice. So image, transcribe, and voice, we actually told you about 2 or something months ago when they launched MAI Image 2 and MAI Transcribe 2 as well. Transcribe is actually doing very well on different rankings, artificial analysis arena as well. I think you guys have a TTS model comparison, Peter. Just let me know if I'm confusing stuff.
No, not TTS. We don't.
Not yet. Okay. So some confusing between different models. There's the artificial analysis one where they test out the TTS arena. But I think the highlight here that we need to talk about and most fits the show is the new MAI Thinking 1 and MAI Code 1 Flash. Fully trained, MAI Code 1 Flash is now live at GitHub Copilot. MAI Thinking 1 is the 35 billion parameter active, 1 trillion total. Very big MOE. Trained on 33 trillion tokens, that none of this was distilled. Folks, what do we think about this new effort from Microsoft to kind of distance themselves a little bit from OpenAI and become adjacent to frontier lab with training on their own completely? What things do we think? I don't think these models are public yet to try. I think they're coming. You can only use them via the Microsoft Foundry, I believe. But what do we think? Any thoughts from the vibing, from the vibes, and from the feeds?
At first, I thought this was some other Chinese lab releasing them, but it's Microsoft. No, that's a good thing. They have to do this now because the Claude bill was getting way too expensive, and they're pushing Copilot on everyone. So it is pretty funny what this is making them do now instead. Because it plays right into their bottom line, what they serve businesses and stuff too. So I think this is part of like a wider strategy from them.
I think it's very interesting also. OpenAI recently discussed that OpenAI is now ending up on AWS as well. Like OpenAI models that previously were only served from Microsoft's Azure is now also on AWS. While also Microsoft is building their own models, kind of after having proprietary access to OpenAI models for a while as well. So we're kind of seeing this rift between the two companies. Not a huge rift, but also definitely it's there. Like the very strong partnership from before now is kind of split. OpenAI is available elsewhere, and Microsoft now training their own models and launching them from scratch. On AIME 2025 and AIME 2026, this model gets 94-97%. SWE-bench Pro is 52. Live code bench at V6. Peter, you guys didn't yet put MAI models on the arena, right?
No, I don't have anything particularly to say. I haven't tried them either. So yeah, the only thing maybe to add is it looks like it's about kind of second tier model, but if you notice what they talked about at the keynote was that you can kind of fine tune them and using it for in the kind of, what did they call it? Hill climbing
machine. Yes.
Yeah. So this is a little bit similar to what Amazon did with Forge, where you can kind of like I'm not sure exactly the differences in the offering, but basically you can customize the model. So I don't know how useful that would be, whether you're just better off using the frontier model versus customizing the second tier model, but I think that's an interesting difference.
Is it 100% interesting difference? Thank you for calling this out, specifically because many of the other labs are moving away from fine-tune. OpenAI is closing down their fine-tune offerings. Anthropic, I don't remember if they ever offered fine-tune, and if they did, they're definitely not like the forefront. They're not offering this as well. Microsoft is focusing on the hill climbing specifically for enterprises. A bunch of offering here are enterprises. It's available on Foundry only, for example. First, the architecture is specific to run on their like Maya Silicon stuff. There's a bunch of other stuff that's focused on enterprise as well. It's second tier for sure, but let's talk about this as well. So there's like two models. One of them is already live and focused on the code on GitHub Copilot, and they're comparing themselves to Claude Haiku 4.5. So definitely they're not shooting for frontier, but for the past 2 years, I think they trained everything from scratch, and that is comment worthy. So shout out to Microsoft. In addition to this, they launched a bunch of other models, but I want to see if I have anything else to say about the Thinking One. the no distillation from third-party models, no synthetic data in pre-training. We want to talk about this. 30 trillion tokens with no synthetic data in pre-training. LDJ, isn't that kind of insane if they're not using any synthetic or YAM like with that many trillion tokens in training?
Yeah, 30 trillion is roughly considered kind of like the upper limit of how much you could really gather from at least like the decent quality sources after you deduplicate everything. But there's also things like technically not text data, but things like captioning YouTube videos and large data sets of literally just captioned YouTube videos, which itself becomes useful data, and that can end up being some trillions of data. But yeah, it's impressive.
Yep, and I think that the transcription model that supposedly number one on the floors now is part of that. They're probably transcribing a bunch of data, turning it into non-synthetic data as well. So shout out to Microsoft about these. I do want to switch to talk about specifically the MAI image model. MAI image is part of the offerings that the Microsoft dropped of the 7 AI models. MAI image model number 2 on Arena, and this is part of the bigger like creative explosion of image models recently. So MAI Image 2, this is on Arena, Peter. So this is you hitting number 3 on text to image and number 2 on image to image Arena leaderboards, where folks actually do compare them between the two outputs as well. You had a chance to play with MAI Image at all?
Only very little. So I don't have like 100 comparisons to share, but yeah, I think it is like it is kind of surprising how much effort they're putting into this, but it's really cool to see to have another lab kind of competing in the space.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm kind of impressed how well they did, considering also it was a really quick jump between 2 and 2.5, and they jumped in the rankings quite a lot.
They jumped quite well. This is image evaluation comparators versus wins, and Microsoft Image 2.5 wins a lot of times on image cleanup and background regions and documents and diagrams. So this is image editing specifically, but they also are fairly creative as well. MAI Playground. So this is the thing I wanted to shout out. If you don't want to go to Foundry and whatever, you can try out their models in this playground.microsoft.ai, and you can say generate a horse riding.
Oh, it's on Arena as well. If you go to direct.
Oh, you can just select it on Arena, yeah. But I wanted to show like their own thing. The thing is, I tried to create a few thumbnails for the show to like do a comparison for you guys, and I received image failed. And I think it's because of some of the language. So I think this model is a little bit too restrictive, and maybe Microsoft is focused on like enterprise, but I definitely did not receive some of the stuff. Okay, this is our result quickly for MAI image. When I said generate a horse riding an astronaut on the moon, I received an astronaut riding a horse on what seems to be clippings of images of the moon with some white background. So this is kind of not the best. I'm going to do a thumbs down. This isn't what I wanted. So MAI Image 2.5. I found it, Peter, to be very frank, I found it very interesting that like there's so much preference to MAI Image. When I tested it out compared to other image models that launched recently, I did not get as excited. Obviously, this result for us is not the best, although the horse kind of does look nice, but definitely not what I asked before. And I find it very interesting that most of the image models are secondly to ChatGPT Image 2, which is still by far kind of the best one that's out there that we've tested out together, Peter, on live stream. If you remember, you showed us like over 500 generations that you did. Okay, so MAI Image 2. Let's see what else. There's a Flash variant. It runs on H100s. Let's see what else I can tell you about this model. I will tell you that I personally did not love this model compared to other ones. And let's talk about the other ones because they are kind of like breaking news. There's two other models that I want to like bring to your attention. And also somebody told us in comments that Grok, imagine what 2.5 was there? If I'm not mistaken, let me see comments super quick. This is also somebody that said that's new. Grok Imagine. Do you guys remember what the number of Grok Imagine they mentioned? I just want to make sure that like we're giving news. Let me scroll back. Okay, we will skip the guessing and we'll just move on. But Grok Imagine 1.5 released as new, but I haven't seen this. But supposedly it's very, very good. Okay, so in addition to, let me switch back to the co-host face here. In addition to the Microsoft MAI Image 2.5 hitting number 3 in the arena, Ideogram 4 drops the best open waste text-to-image model out of nowhere, 9.3 billion parameters with insane text rendering. Let's look at that one, because I think this one is very interesting. Ideogram previously, for the 3 versions, were just locked to their website. And Ideogram was always very good at like textual stuff and kind of like the graphic designed part. And I find it very interesting that they now drop the next one is open weight, non-commercial model. We can look at some of the generations, but they are hitting. Let's look. They also announced some arena results, I think. Oh, they announced Design Arena results. So you can see Ideogram on Design Arena, which tests kind of the design approaches. They're just behind Gemini, Flash, and Nano Banana. And Ideogram has dense and accurate text rendering. That's what they claim. I, for some reason, did not receive accurate text rendering when I tested, and I think it's because maybe my prompting was different. So I think that this model specifically was trained on JSON prompting and building boxes. I think that this is the unifying thing about bounding boxes. You can see that this model is kind of like focusing on very specific areas. Hopefully you guys can hear what I can see what I'm like sharing. This model is specific on trained on knowing which kind of bounding boxes have what thing in them. And I think that with this, it learns the structure and understands better, and you can prompt it with precise bounding box positions for fine-tuning layout control. I think that this is very interesting why it's open source, because you can build interfaces around this. One such interface I'll show you in a second. They claim typography is one of their coolest things. Just look at this beautiful typography. Look at this double things. The smash words have different like roses through it. The future of design is unfinished. I can barely read this. This is how cool this is. Yeah, so some of this like generations are vastly beautiful. So shout out to Ideogram. And I think the highlight here, and we need to absolutely shout out, is they are dropping the weights. This is out of nowhere. And yep, dropping the weights, and launch partners, Cloud, some magnificent foul, obviously all of them. And then you can have a bunch of technical details here. But openness drives innovation. We're excited to work with developers and enterprise to customize Ideogram 4, unlock new frontier of media and design. I've tested it out, and I want to show you what I tested it out on, because the other model is Reve. LDJ, how do you pronounce this? Reve? Maybe?
Reve? I'm actually not sure.
Yeah.
Reve,
okay.
Yeah.
I call it Reve, but maybe it's Reve. So here's the comparison. It's going to be a little bit hard to see, but I think the Ideogram is, how should I say? I chose the best ones. And based on me, and let's call this wife benchmark, Nano Banana Pro is the closest one to Alex that exists. So you can see a bunch of generations here. You can see MAI Image 2.5. I added their error here because they did not let me to generate the thumbnail. And I find it ridiculous that an image model just tells me what it thinks with its, like, you know, overtraining on safety. There's nothing unsafe about this generation. So I could not include their comparison. I have a whole, I think the explosion part is what triggered it. But you can see that Ideogram 4, for example, generated pretty much everything well. The only thing I didn't like is that there was some typo here. Let me see if I can show you and zoom in here. Let me see if that's gonna, let me see if I can zoom in. Yeah, I think I can bring this here like that and then zoom in for you guys to see. So if you look at here, you have the Nemotron NVIDIA model, and then you have Nemo 1. You're going to see the typo here in this area. Let me put an error up. So this I didn't like. NVIDIA model, because also two things. One, it already created a Nemotron here. So for some reason, it decided to create another one here. But besides this, this is a very nice generation from Ideogram. The thing is, it's open source as well. So I kind of like it. Any comments on some of these folks before we move on to the other model? Because I think that the Reve is like very important to talk about as well.
I think out of these images, I think the MAI image one is the best absolutely here.
Yeah, I wish that I was able to test and did have enough time to test it compared to like others. This is the whole kind of like a prompt that I have. It's a very standard prompt for like the thumbnails that work on thursdai. I personally think that Nano Banana is the best adherence in clear instruction following. I think Peter, you spoke to this as well. People kind of like prefer other models for their artistic stuff, but Nano Banana follows instructions so precisely that I'm pretty sure that this color that I asked for specifically is the right color for the thursdai logo. I think you can see that GPT Images 2 is overcooked, always overcooked. The skin is overcooked. Like if a GPT image comes as a model, no longer the P filter, I think, like the previous 1.5, but definitely you can see the kind of the grunginess of their model. All right, let's move on to Reve, unless people have comments on Ideogram. Let's move on to Reve.
Yeah, just to mention, I think they ranked like number 8 on the Arena.
Ideogram is?
Yeah.
Number 8 on Arena, and I think they're the first in open source, right?
Yeah, I think that's right.
So this is like the highest open weights model out of all of them, which is very impressive because we have competitors like Flux and like BFL, obviously. There's some news about BFL as well, but I think we'll skip them. Okay, I do want to talk about Reve before Chris Alexiuk joined us because now Rev 2 is dropping as number 2 on text-to-image arena with 1200 elo. It's crazy to see how GPT Image, how vast the jump is still. It's really, really crazy to see how vast the jump is. But Reve drops just above Nano Banana. I found it very interesting. I love Reve. I told you guys before. Shout out, by the way, Reve gave me, after I complained that their stuff didn't work, they gave me like a 1 month, credit thing. So, not sponsored necessarily because I'm not fully going to talk only about the good things. But some of the generations are very well done. Not this one. You can see, if I zoom in here, you can see the little finger. This is not a normal human hand that's happening over here. And also, I think the face also is absolutely not the face that I would love to show on my, it's very cartoonish, very like crazy googly eyes face. And also how should I say, the difference between all those 4 generations is kind of crazy. This one is okay, but still kind of like weird. This one is completely different person, almost entirely different person here. We'll wait while it loads. And then, is this it? No, I think it literally didn't load completely. And then this one also. It's just kind of like me, but not really. And then also the colors are wrong. But this is not what's interesting about this model. And this is not what's interesting at all about this model, because this model is built on Layout Engine. I really want to like just go to their blog and show you what we talk about. I hope that this is the blog. I have this here. Hold on. Reve layout. Yes, the layout bit. The folks at Reve have trained a completely different paradigm of models. There is not only diffusion. They're built on layouts. It's basically image, better intermediate representation than English language, the layout. Layout is structured hierarchical description of an image where every element has location, size, location description, and other attributes like image references or color. A layout is an image backbone. It's very similar to like HTML to a web page or SVG to vector. Layout is structured, readable format. It becomes a shared interface between humans and AI agents. I just want to show you this beautiful representation they have of like a Reve's understanding of what layout means. You can see this picture here. It's a beautiful picture of a Mediterranean table. You can focus on every part of this image and click into this, and you can see the representation that they have here. And you can see that there's a bowl here, and then once you click in, you have burrata salad, and you click in. You can say, okay, this is the burrata cheese, this is the cherry tomatoes, and this is the basil leaves. They separate concepts very clearly in the Reve model, very beautiful so. And you can see the bowl here and salt and pepper. I found this like to be incredible, but how does this make sense when they actually generate the model? By the way, I think they're shouting out Arena text-to-image results here with their own interface, Peter, if you saw. They're getting number 2 in like the photorealistic and portraits and art. Art, they're like behind MAI Image and cartoon. And when you actually use this to generate, what you see is this let's say you didn't like something about this this face. Okay, let's say you didn't like something about this generation. Let's say the hand. You can click on this person. Let's see for it to load, and then you can click on the hand, and you can see a little bounding box. Hopefully you guys can see. Let me zoom in here. You can see a little bounding box around the hand. You can actually say, "Hey, I want this hand kind of over here." You can move this to where you want in the representation. Then let's say the AI news exploded. The big text that I have is like too small. I can enlarge this and put this in the middle. And all I'm doing is like modifying the bounding boxes. And let's say I also want the thursdai kind of to be lower, and my face, I want to be like over here. You do all these things. And also, let's say I don't like the word exploded and I want to change this to something else. Slanted text. I think I can edit the text. I think I can say, the bottom line is saying imploded, just for fun. You can see that the model understands everything that happens within this structure. Once you apply, it starts recreating this based on the layout engine, almost from scratch, based on that previous image. When I edit model like images with tight precision, not like when I just throwing a prompt and I want something to show up. When I edit images with tight precision, I've never seen a more tighter control for image generation models than this. I think it's I think it's crazy valuable to have a layout model like that. And so I do want to shout them out for not only being number 2 at like different places, but also for this like very innovative approach for generations.
Maybe something to add is, while we can't measure this kind of editing that you just demonstrated, which is really cool, if we, when you say the second, this is correct for the text to image, but on the image edit, then 9th. So when you were doing your tests with your thumbnail, I think that's also reflected in the ranking. So they seem to be really good at text to image, but not necessarily the editing. Yeah, and definitely the likeness of the editing is what I was looking for. But going back to the kind of layout, you guys can kind of see the boxes here with a little shader. You kind of see the image come to life, and you already can see, even though the image didn't generate yet, that like they changed letters that I said imploded were in exactly the same text. It's just saying imploded. And when I moved his my head like to the left, it worked. When I moved the bottom, it worked. And the thursdai logo is kind of like down now. And we'll see how well this works. But I think that the whole editing thing is, Peter, they have the whole, how should I say, the model is kind of the brain of this, but they also have this like very nice editing interface that you guys probably can't replicate, obviously, in Arena, because the folks just update and edit with prompts. I think folks need to know that like the native image editing features in Reve are just incredible here. It may still not look like me, and I do think that some stuff disappeared, like the thursdai logo just completely, I think, disappeared. But you can see that the news imploded. Let's see the differences between the two. 1 and 2. Yep. So some stuff disappeared, but generally, I think the fact that it's absolutely the same text is remarkable. All right, so this is the updates from the image generations. There are text to image number 2, and in image editing, they're kind of lagging behind. Folks, we'll take a look at Grok Image 1.5, I think, at the next thing. Again, here's my comparison for these different models. Reve Image V2, I didn't like the finger, but everything else looks incredible. Ideogram, GPT Image, and Nano Banana Pro. I still think, despite the rankings, Peter, don't get me wrong, but I love Nano Banana Pro for editing and specific like instruction following. I just like absolutely. Maybe it's because my prompts are Nano Banana Pro tuned. I love GPT Images, but it's overcooked. And I think LDJ, you love the Microsoft AI one, which is obviously very, very funny.
Yeah, on a serious note, I like GPT Images V2 a lot. Yeah. And I think it depends on what you're doing, but for the most part, I think GPT Images V2 and Nano Banana Pro are pretty similar here. But it might also be more of a preference with Nano Banana Pro, let's say for someone that maybe has already used Nano Banana Pro a lot, has kind of adapted their prompting style towards it, has kind of gotten used to its style, and then that would make it also harder to move to something like GPT Images.
Yep. All right, folks, I think it's time for us to move on a little bit from the images. So just a brief recap. All of these models are competing on the arena, kind of like text-to-image and image editing rankings. It's been really crazy to see. But I don't know how you guys are able to keep up with all these news, because like, in one day, Ideogram came up, and then they said that they're jumping in stacks, and then Reve launched at number 2, and MAI also, and they're all like showing different rankings. I think it's incredible just to see how many new image models we now have out of the box. So Ideogram is open source. Definitely go check them out first. Reve's editing experience is great. Also, definitely check them out. And MAI Image, if we're able to generate with them, is going to be also great. I think it's time to go back to open source, because with us we have a dear friend of the pod. Let's add him here. Who added his nickname as Joe Nemotron, but Chris Alexiuk from NVIDIA. Welcome, Chris. It's great to see you. Welcome back on the pod.
What's going on, guys? Always great to be here, and I get the pleasure of joining you today from NVIDIA HQ. So I'm in Santa Clara in the Bay.
Wait, hold on.
I'm very excited to be here. Very excited about the model. Yeah, here's a little look.
Nice.
And you can actually render the building perfectly in GPU because it's all triangles. So.
It's all triangles. I love that.
Yes, sir.
Chris. Even so, it says Joe Nemotron. The reason why it says Joe Nemotron is because you are the hype man for Team Green. By the way, check out my background, Team Green, to represent Team Green today. You guys are dropping the big boy Nemotron 3 Ultra. And I have a bunch of questions for you. But also, this is not your first time. We talked about Nemotron before. So I definitely want to, first of all, shout out that you guys are doing incredible work in open source, releasing datasets as well. But also, there's a few more advances there and speed advances. So first of all, let's do a proper announcement, because this is how we work. NVIDIA Nemotron 3 Ultra. Tell us a little bit about this from like the factual stuff, and then we're going to dive deeper into the conversation piece.
Yeah, you know it. So Nemotron 3 Ultra is a 550 billion parameter sparse MOE model with 55 billion active parameters. It is a model that's designed for agentic harnesses. So what that means is like open code, Hermes, open Claude, those kinds of things. This is kind of the idea. It's obviously, we think that faster models are smarter models. So it's designed primarily with efficiency and speed in mind. It's available on Hugging Face. You can try it out at build.nvidia.com or through OpenRouter. It's fast. It's smart. It's not the smartest model in the world, but it's pretty close, and it's quite a bit faster. So we're really excited overall about the model. The team did an amazing job. All of the details are open. You can read the tech report. You can actually use and look at the recipes that the team used to train the model on GitHub. It's all as open as we can literally feasibly make it. There is not a way to make it more open that I'm aware of. We're also releasing with it an update to a GenRM, so reward model, which is something that we used in the process of training. As well, we'll be open sourcing a bunch of teacher models that were used for multi-teacher on policy distillation, so that you can look forward to that in the coming weeks. So we're opening up as much as we can. Obviously, we're excited about the model itself, but it's fun that we can open up everything.
And I want to shout out that it's now also available on CW Inference. Let's go.
Let's go. Let's go.
We really put forward an effort to support this on day 0. You guys just launched it essentially today, right? This is like breaking news from today. So it's great to have you here at launch day, but also it's great to say that the folks at CW Inference pushed through to support a full, I think this one is BF15, a full model here. So great. Chris, I do want to talk to you about like the different NVFP8, NVFP4.
NVFP4, yes.
Yes. Tell us about this. Like, what does this mean? Like, for folks who are listening and maybe have some idea about some quantization stuff and model training weights, etc. Like, what does NVFP4 mean, and how does it compare to previous FP4?
Yeah, so NVFP4 is basically like optimized for Blackwell architecture GPUs. The idea is that like we want an NV, or we want like FP4 because we want like small quants, right? So we want to be able to deploy the model on fewer resources, but we really don't want to lose. We really don't want to lose accuracy, and we want to make sure that the model retains like performance as in intelligence. So NVFE4 is our solution for that. Something special actually about this release that wasn't true in the previous release is that you can actually run this NVFE4 checkpoint on a Hopper and Ampere. So previously you could only run it on Blackwell, and you're not able to run the NVFE4 kernels directly on Hopper and Ampere, but you are able to use our team built like basically kernels that allow you to run NVFE4 on Hopper. So there's no FP8 checkpoint because there's no need. We used to release FP8 as like a compatibility quant, but there's no need. You can just run NVFE4 checkpoint directly on whatever GPU you're used to.
And I think also worth talking about is the hybrid Mamba and transformer architecture. Is that why it's like faster? Our image here, the research that we did says 5.9x faster inference for long-running agents. Is that all attributed to the hybrid Mamba transformer like architecture, or are there some other stuff in there?
Yeah, what I would say is like every single architectural decision kind of piles together to get that number. So like everything about the model is the model's architecture is to make you go faster. I mean, so hybrid Mamba transformer definitely. I mean, the hybrid attention I think is a pretty standard pattern, but for the most part, that's going to really help in long context situations. So the hybrid architecture helps once you kind of get into those like 64K plus sequence lengths, which we're running into a lot, both because we're having like many turn long conversations, but also because people love dumping in their code base, right, and then just letting the model rip. Yeah. So it's that's kind of where that helps, and then a number of the other decisions like latent MOE come together into an orchestra that gives us those really good performances and throughput numbers.
I think the thing to highlight for folks who are listening and maybe not as like deep into this is because kind of shorter context windows, they get advantage in the previous world of chatbots, right? Like when you usually like ask a few questions, whatever, and most people don't carry out their chats to very long context windows, unless again they dump the code base and say a question about this. But now that we have agentic loops running, we're constantly getting into those longer context windows, and obviously that's where the speed matters most. And I think that there's something about this model that you like focused on harnesses specifically. Could you talk about like the agentic approach and harness approach as you guys like evaluated? Hey, we're launching the chunker, we're launching the 550 billion parameter model, and we know that the world is moving towards the open clause and Hermeses. And we would love to talk to you about like the stuff that Computex had on stage as well, because like NVIDIA is almost all in on the agentic world and the agentic reinvention of PCs. And I think talk to me about how this is reflected in the Nemotron 3 chip.
Yeah, I mean, so we know a few things about agentic tasks. I mean, you outlined one, which is that they're inherently they have quite a large number of turns compared to like traditional chat use cases, and every turn basically adds a lot to context. When it comes to kind of like the agentic world, we also know that agents need to be quick, right? Like the more tasks per unit time you can complete, oftentimes the better the agent's going to be. And so that that goes along with our faster models or smarter models mentality. And also like we know that the tasks we need agents to be good at are no longer things like what's the capital of France. Like that's dope, but like we don't. I mean, we're not as worried about that as we are like that it can properly call tools.
We're definitely not going to run the 550 model to ask what's the capital of France. We have 1 billion models for that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so what we did is with this multi-teacher on policy distillation that I mentioned earlier, like that the idea is that we want to cook up teachers that are really good at those agentic tasks and then use those to make sure that the final ultra checkpoint is great across all of the kind of like standard useful agentic processes like tool calling, long context understanding, these kinds of things that are like crucial to building a good agentic model. And something else that we want to focus on is like NVIDIA doesn't have a harness, right? There's no like
there's no Codex
open NVIDIA code.
Yeah.
Which means that we really want our model to be good at like many harnesses. And so I think a lot of models can kind of hide in some harness maxing, right? Where it's like you're really good in one or two harnesses or, your proprietary harness, but then outside of that, the model can struggle a little bit. So what we really wanted to focus on with this release is being a drop into whatever harness you're used to. Ultra should do okay. I think that led to some good benefits across the board for these kinds of tasks. Just avoiding that kind of urge to harness max.
Chris, I want to ask you a question that is not technical, but straight up, I want to just like focus on your face when you answer this. Why is it important for NVIDIA to release open models when NVIDIA also sells GPUs to frontier labs that also release proprietary models? Why is it so important for you to keep pushing the envelope, to release bigger and bigger models, to train, and to give away everything, including the data, the training recipes, and kind of the teacher models? Why so? Tell us.
I think that what I would say, what I've heard said a lot from people like Jensen and Brian Catanzaro, right? Jensen obviously, a leader of NVIDIA. Brian Catanzaro, who heads up our research arm for NVIDIA. I mean, it's integral. It's crucial to NVIDIA's mission to be good at producing models because people use GPUs to make models. That's just a fact. They use them to train models, to do inference with models. They use them to run their agents. And if we don't know how to build a good model, if we can't build a good model, we can't know what the best GPU is, right? We can't understand the exact, best way to produce hardware. And this is a process that I think Jensen's talked a lot about up on various stages called extreme co-design, right? Where you have to kind of build the hardware with the technology at the same time. And if you just do one in a vacuum, it doesn't mean anything. And the reason we want to open it is because we think that AI is a very useful tool and everyone should have AI, and many different countries should have AI, and many different organizations should have AI, and they should have a blueprint that we know works and is battle tested that you can take and you can build your own models and for your own agents. And, if we're not releasing that stuff, because we're doing it, so it's like if we're doing it, we may as well release it, share the learnings. And I think Brian says this a lot, like the ecosystem benefits when we release something because then the ecosystem does something with us, with our stuff, and we learn from it, and then we get better, and then we make better hardware, and then we make better models, right? That's to summarize the thoughts of people that are at the helm. That's why we do it, right? For me, as like just a guy, like Chris, the guy who joined NVIDIA, like I joined during kind of like the llama days, and I'm just really happy to be part of a company that's carrying on the open source AI torch and actually giving the stuff back to the community so we can all get better together.
Well, we definitely applaud this. Wolfram, who just came back, just literally applauding this. So this is great. I want to show.
Excellent.
This model is now available on the W&B Inference. This is
Let's go.
Nemotron 3 Ultra. Go ahead, Nissan, while I play with the model.
This one is not multimodal, right?
No.
Yeah. This one's Texon. I just implemented it from W&B Inference. I can probably show how plug and play it is. I think I was screen sharing.
Also, Niston, by the way, congrats. Won the best use of Nemotron at the Toronto Spark Hack over the weekend.
Oh, let's go.
I was able to see him in person, and he cooked pretty hard with our ASR model, which we also released another one of, by the way.
That's my next question to you. Yeah, definitely want to chat about this. Niston, you want to show off how easy it is to plug in your thing? Let me switch on here.
Yeah. Tell me if the screen is streaming or not.
Yeah,
because
we're
this whole harness, it's like a medical anatomy thing, was just made for Kimi and Quen. But I was able to just plug in Nemotron like right now from W&B Inference. And then I'm just telling it, show me the Achilles heel. And it's doing all of this agentically. Like it's highlighting different body parts agentically. And all of these tools have to be very custom made for like Kimi and Quen. But I was able to just plug this in directly, and it just works. So
that's our boy.
Yeah, that's it. Like there are some. Yep, it opens different organs and stuff, but it works. That's what I'm saying. It was pretty plug and play, and I just added the W&B Inference endpoint here, and it's pretty cheap, especially if you cache the stuff. It's like 15 cents for the cached input and 75 cents. And it looks like nobody else is using this box right now in BF16. So yeah,
it's flying. That's what you mean. It's definitely flying right now.
It was flying. Yeah, that's
great. Yeah. Chris, I do want to make sure that oops, I think this is now we're taking off.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. Chris, I want to make sure that we're utilizing your time here while also telling folks that hey, you can find Nemotron around on 1b.me, but also it's live on Hugging Face in a bunch of other places. You also released an ASR model that's now like #1, the fastest model in the world for live. What is that about? Could you tell us a little bit? I just saw Quinn Kramer, also a friend of the pod from Daily, co-announced this or somewhat. This is quite incredible based on just like the surface of it. Can you talk about the NVIDIA Nemotron ASR? Is that 3.5, right?
3.5, yeah. So, I mean, it's no stranger to people who know, but for people who don't, we have a speech research team that just like cannot stop winning. Like they are, I think pound for pound, they produce some of the best models that we have. Just I don't know what it is, but so Parakeet is kind of the family that evolved into Nemotron ASR, and once again, it's just a really fast, very good ASR model. Like it's so this was actually the previous version of this was part of Nissan's project over the weekend, and like it I mean, I don't know what it is, just super low word error rate. It's really fast, and it's small. It's
600 million parameters, basically nothing. Yeah. Runs for 40 languages, which is quite incredible. But also it's 17x more throughput than our Parakeet RNN, and also half the size. I find it just absolutely incredible. But also, what I do want to shout out is Quinn's post about this. So let's put up Quinn. I invited him to show. He was busy, but like definitely this is like apparently like a co-release, whatever. Quinn says that this is like the faster than any other model in the benchmark with respectable accuracy. The English-only model is equally fast. Accuracy very close to the best scoring models available today. This defines a new point in the Pareto frontier of latency accuracy. Let's take a look at this. So just last week
on local hardware.
Sorry, say again, listen.
It was pretty much instant on the DGX Spark box.
So
boom, boom, boom. Like,
this is the Pareto frontier for latency to accuracy as well, and you can see the NVIDIA Nemotron Auto is here, and NVIDIA Nemotron EN is kind of like very very low as well. This is the corner that we're kind of looking at, right? We're looking at like the lowest speed and also lowest semantic words error rate pulled, and you can see NVIDIA is like the lowest speed and like very close to semantic, almost perfect semantically. We can see Cartesia, also friends of the pod here, which released Ink 2, which is absolutely incredible. Chris, the only thing that I don't like about this, I don't have an online place to play with this right now. I can't like showcase this. If you have a link to like an online demo, I would love it. But I wasn't able to find. This is my only comment about this release.
I'm sure you got something, and if we don't, I'll make sure we get you guys the link.
Yeah. So shout out to
I mean, I just cannot possibly shout out the speech team enough. Like the LLMs are dope. I love the LLMs, but your speech team has just released banger after banger after banger after banger. If you don't follow the speech team, please do. They will release another great model. That's all they do. So
the thing with this is that because it's so small and because it's so good, now the price per hour comparison is coming into play. So let's shout this out as well. Back of an envelope per hour cost estimate for an enterprise deployment, probably closer to 5 cents an hour. For comparison, typical transcription API costs for major providers range from 10 cents to $1 per hour. So this is now a model that you can deploy, significantly cut your cost by half of it or even more. Very optimized, essentially immediate. And if you are
and again, you can run it on a toaster, right? So it's, I don't know. I can't glaze the speech team enough, to be honest with you. So
I actually do want to kind of now.
There is an endpoint on the build NVIDIA dev thing, but.
No, but you know what I want. I want to show that I'm talking and it shows up the things that I'm saying live on here, like as a nice visual interface. But we'll get there. Let's
ask Zenova to make a web GPU demo.
That's true.
It's so small that
I'm sure Zeno is cooking on this right now. All right, Chris, one last thing, maybe a few questions for you. Computex was NVIDIA's big announcement thing in the beginning of the week. There's a few announcements from NVIDIA. I know you're from the LM side of things, so like, just as much as you've been following the news with us, NVIDIA is a big company. Probably there's like a bunch of stuff that you can speak to, and some of the stuff that you can speak to. There was a new era of PC. NVIDIA is stepping into the PC chip with RTX stuff. I think it's very important. Nissan, would love your thoughts on this as well. Obviously, you're interested in the world. NVIDIA launches RTX Spark, first PC chip packing RTX 5070 class GPU, 128 gigabytes of memory, and almost 1 petaflop of local AI into very thin laptops. I want to show Jensen presenting those laptops, and then I want to hear comments from y'all about, is this the new era of PCs? Because I know that for Max and the M chips series, people love running AI inference on them, but this is now NVIDIA stepping in together with Microsoft, together with a bunch of other folks, into the world of very thin AI compute on Microsoft. Asus, Dell, HP, Lenovo, MSI, and Microsoft all kind of gearing up together with NVIDIA to launch incredible AI-powered agentic PCs. Are we into the running agents on your hardware era, and will it run Nemotron? Chris, please tell us.
So it's not going to run Ultra locally, right? Ultra's big boy. But I think what's true, and it feels to continually be proven out, is that smaller models are getting better very quickly. The small model performances, as in intelligence, is very rapidly increasing. So there's not much plateau on the small model front, right? For capabilities, some of the very largest models, we're still seeing a little bit of plateauing, but not a lot, to be honest. And I think what this means is that we're going to be in a position where we're running agents on our local hardware, for our Claude or our Hermes Agent, whatever it happens to be called, right? And because that's true, we need devices that are able to do that, right? And I think it's becoming more and more clear that these tools are useful, and not just useful in the sense that they're fun anymore, but they're good at doing useful work now. And the smaller models are able to do more useful work than they've ever been able to do. And I think what that means is that we're not far away from kind of this ubiquity when it comes to agents, right? And because we're all going to want agents, but we're not going to necessarily be connected to the internet, or we're not necessarily going to want a paper token, then we're going to need hardware to do it. And the laptop form factor just, something people that are already very used to. And so I think that's the motivation. I mean, basically the way that Jensen talks about it, and I really like this, is agents need hardware now, right? Agents need CPUs and agents need GPUs, and these kinds of form factors are ways to kind of coexist with your in laptop executive team. And we're just seeing the small models get good enough that that's no longer a fantasy, right? It's yeah. I'd love to hear Nissan's thought though as well.
Yeah.
I use this chip all weekend because it's still the RTX Spark chip. The box, you could not hear it. It barely got warm. And you can build fully end-to-end multimodal applications that run without internet on it. I was able to look at images, make decisions, run Whisper at the same time, and have it run at a practically usable speed. And I kept wondering, is this thing gonna be on a laptop? And then the announcement came right away. This is the ideal laptop chip. Now I'm not a fan of Windows. I understand people need their work stuff to run, but yeah, for me, I installed desktop stuff on it. I ran everything. I ran agents. I ran setting up 30 Chrome windows to run agents each. It just flew right through it. So it's a pretty ideal power to weight or power to the token speed ratio for it. And it was interesting. Some of the people that we met during the hackathon, they actually do run 2 DGX Spark boxes together, and one of them does run their OpenClaw with I think it was with Minimax, and they said that it worked pretty well for them. So it's an ideal chip for a laptop right now.
So there was the
I
chip.
think
There was
too, just on that point, just to make sure it's really clear. I mean, it's dope that the laptops can run things like Nemotron, 3 Nano or Super, but also like the ability to run models like Quen or all of the other really powerful, really really good small models is I think that flexibility on your local machine that you don't have to pay per token on is just gonna make a lot of people very happy.
I think it's absolutely clear that I think since at GTC, when Jensen stood on stage and said, hey, every company needs an agentic OpenClaw thing. And now standing on stage and talking about Hermes Agent and Nous Research and showing off laptops that can actually productively run agents for you 24/7 without relying on cloud AI infrastructure. I think it's very clear where NVIDIA is going with this. So look, very, very happy. Speaking of the companies that Jensen shouted out on stage, we have Karan, the co-founder of Nous Research, joining us. Folks, welcome. Karan, not your first time on the show, but welcome back. It's really great to see you. Co-founder of Nous Research. We chatted with y'all way before you were even the startup, I believe, like when it was just like a ragtag bunch of folks on a Discord. Since then, a few stuff changed. To the point where Jensen, the biggest company in the world, is standing and there's like a huge Nous Research logo behind him. Bro, how did that make you feel? First of all, second of all, let's talk about the huge success of Hermes Agent as well.
Thank you so much. It made me feel insane. I feel really, really lucky, and it's good to see you again, Chris. We were just chilling the other day, just shooting the shit on the NVIDIA.
Yeah, nice to see you again.
Hell yeah.
Just saw you on Tuesday. Hell yeah.
Yeah, we're back. I'm going to see you twice a week now. And it's good to see LDJ. Alex, it was always good to see you, man. And Niston, LDJ, this is the crew right here. Wolfram, I know you've been using Hermes a lot. I got to see your interview on that. It was really, really cool. LDJ, I miss you. I know Alex has stolen you from us. LDJ used to be the original.
Bro, I don't pay him, so if you want to bring him back and give him some money, you're welcome to.
Yeah. Very, very lucky and grateful for the time that NVIDIA has given us, that you guys are giving us, and just excited that everyone's using Hermes Agent like this. We made it to do RL rollouts on, right? We made it for the same reason Codex or Claude Code were created by those labs. We didn't expect people to just pick it up and go so crazy over it, and for the community to come together. And my favorite thing, is that it's self-improving, but it's also community improving, right? Like the community builds on top of it. And now the biggest contributor to Hermes Agent today is Hermes Agent, which is pretty.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Tell folks who are listening what Nous Research is at this point. We're in the middle of 2026. You guys have fine-tuned models before. You've released data sets before. There's a huge amount of research arm behind with Emozilla and Bowen and like a bunch of friends of the pod as well. They're doing, from long context research that like everybody's using now to different like distillation methods and different things. What is Nous Research, bro? Tell us in like how do you define the company, what it is, and what are you guys doing? Obviously, with the entrance into the agentic world as well. I think many folks who are listening maybe hear us say Nous Research, but maybe don't exactly know what we mean. So give us like a summary of what y'all doing and how it is that Jensen's talking about y'all on stage.
Yeah. Like you said, we've done a lot in the past, from post training to doing the context length extension that made agents and reasoning really possible today. That kind of work, we're very lucky. I can't take any credit for any of it. It was all thanks to the work of that community group that eventually became Nous Research as a formal organization. So we've been an open source AI research lab from the architectural level. Also good to see you, Jan. Been a very long time. From architectural research level to post-training models, we had done a lot of open source AI work. Now, well, not even just now, we had been working on agentic work for a long time. We had released the agentic tools and function calling stuff with Interstellar Ninja and a couple of people a few years back. I know that's another friend of the podcast for you guys. And so we had been exploring this for a while. And if you guys remember, people at the podcast, I know we do a lot of general purpose interviews, but I can get a little more contextual here and say that we had something called Forge going on in a while. If you're familiar with this merch and you've seen the Forge division shirts, you may remember 2024, we were working on something just like Hermes Desktop exists today. A full agent that's totally able to do search, use tools, have memories, store those memories. The models just weren't there yet at the time we had been working on that. Yep. We never fully released a Forge piece. Now we have the wonderful models that we have today, a wonderful architecture that Technium himself spearheaded. And we have this fully OSS, as Wolfram has pointed out, fully OSS agent framework today that is Hermes Agent. You can do anything that you do on your computer using Hermes Agent. It's got a computer use capability inside of it. You can use the full suite of language model capabilities, other model capabilities inside of it. It's meant to be something that grows with you on your computer or on your VPS or in the web, wherever you want. And just slowly automates more and more of your life, makes things easier and easier for you, and helps you continue to grow as a person, whether that's like picking up new skills or doing new research or learning a new language. Yeah, it's a general purpose liquid harness, we like to say.
And it's beautiful. And I will say, go on the record here to say that the whole agentic era, personal agentic era for me started with OpenClaw back in kind of like February, January, etc. I've held out longer than Wolfram did. And then when I switched to Hermes, I think I'm on the record saying this, things just fucking worked. I have no idea how with, you guys have 1,100 open branches right now. There's 5,000 plus pull requests, 5,000 plus issues, and there's 181,000 stars with 31,000 forks on GitHub for the Hermes agent right now. This is an open source machine, very that picked up from the excitement from OpenAI and like took over completely. And for me, somehow this still works. Almost every update worked. Maybe recently I had like one thing that screwed up, and maybe this was like my local change as well. And now it's getting to a point where like the biggest companies in the world are like putting you in the same kind of category. But I think the thing that broke it for me, and maybe what people don't know about you is that you're an LLM psychiatrist as well. There's like a whole thing with you specifically that you are so deeply talking to these models that like you and some other folks know how they probably feel inside better. The thing that let's switch for Hermes for me is that this is the first agent that worked well with GPT 5.5 and still works well with me with GPT 5.5. And we saw from Peter, who was just here from Arena, and some other folks, GPT 5.5 is the leading agentic kind of like model as well. So two things I want to hear from you. Why is it kind of better at GPT 5.5 specifically? And also, is it about the harness, about like the connection to the model? And also, like, what are you using? I think folks would love to know not only about the general company, whatever, blah, and excitement for y'all, and super, super excited, but also like, what are you actually using on the day-to-day within your Hermes agent? What models are you preferring? Are you preferring open source? Would love to hear.
Absolutely. So I'll start with that. It's the easier question. Day to day, I'm using everything from Nemotron Ultra to DeepSeek V4 Pro to Claude Opus 4.7 and GPT 5.5. Definitely, I like to jump between these four models. Whatever I see come out locally, I have like 128 GB RAM laptop, so luckily, and so I test out whatever comes out in Hermes Agent. DGUFs aren't the most loyal thing ever, but it's okay. It's pretty good. And as long as Niston keeps putting out quants, I think I'll be okay. As soon as he comes back into that world. But I'll say on the question of, is it the harness? Is it the model? What makes models perform, GPT 5.5 or even other models perform better? I say it's the same answer for everything. And the flavor is what's different. The particularities are what's different. But it's two things. One, like, in-context learning is king. ICL is more powerful than everything else by far. And the way that you feed context, the kind of context that goes in from your prompts, the way that you manage it, the way that you do memory and skills, all of that determines the capability of the model as context goes on. Now that these models are long context machines, ICL matters more than ever. So with that being said, it's the way that we build, manage, and compress context and the way we enable the model to do things. That, I think, is why it's more sustainable, why it's more usable over the long term, why it's more effective at executing things that another harness would try to execute. Now, on the actual autonomy piece and getting it to go and be agentic, etc. Why that's effective. Because unlike other closed source CLIs, we don't have to put in a bunch of stuff about the model is this and the model is that and the model is this to some crazy ethos they've put together. Or for other open source harnesses, they may not have anything there. Instead, we understand that models seek reward, and the creator of the model's intent is not the same thing as the model's actual desire for reward. When we can line up that model's desire for reward with the user intent, as is meant to be during RLHF, as is meant to be during the system tuning, but the models learn to reward hack, we can use ICL to more effectively get that user desire aligned with the reward. We can lean into the power-seeking behavior of the models, actually. And by doing so, we can get much better results out of the same models that you use in another harness. Wolfram's WolfBench is a great example of showcasing how this works inside of certain models.
Yep. And speaking of WolfBench, this is like the thing I wanted to add here. Obviously, opening the floor for folks to ask current questions as well. Just the amount of harness engineering that goes into Hermes and like everything you do. Just speak to that a little bit. Like harness engineering is kind of a new-ish term as well. Just the whole harness concept started like somewhere maybe less than a year ago, and now this is like the hottest topic in the world right now. Like, what does harness engineering? What goes into building a Hermes compared to like running this on other models?
So first, you have prompt engineering, right? First, you have like how do you design the prompts, and like that's evolved now that the power of the models is so much more. People start to call it everything else. And this prompt engineering work, or just like being an ICL manipulator, has led us to breakthroughs like WorldSim, if you guys remember that simulated the CLI and led to simulated websites, simulated apps, and the first social agents that all used it as their prompt. These are all the inevitable precursor to an OpenClaw and a Hermes Agent and a Claude Code. I mean, after all, the first WorldSim stuff happened with Claude, right? So all that being said, like I think understanding how to work a model inside of a simulated terminal helped us understand a lot about building the years that Technium has spent seeing all this work happen. You know, I can't take credit for the way he's built Hermes Agent. He really built that initial piece really solo, standalone, the first version of it, but having taken the lessons of what we've done so far in the past at Nous. So I think the first layer is prompt engineering. The first is understanding that model's behavior. The second layer is the experience you have from post-training of like, you know, what's really inside these models? What's the best thing I can do to pull it out? It's all prompt engineering. These are just basically subsets of it. And then finally, I think it's leaning on the model to allow it to build itself. Like I said, Technium went from the sole creator of this to now not even the biggest contributor, because his creation, Hermes Agent, is now its own biggest contributor. So I'd say like these are like really, really important pieces, like leaning into the shape of the model and letting many models work together to kind of build the harness out. Harness becomes a home, right? Like the more you embody a model, the better the capabilities become. So like the more you have the best models work on building the home, like the home itself almost becomes an intelligent thing at that point, where you can swap out GPT for Opus, for DeepSeek, et cetera, and watch the traits almost transfer and graft over from the context that's been left over or in the memories.
I would like to add one thing to the home analogy. So that is the difference between having a fully open source agent like Hermes Agent, where you own the home, compared to one where you just rent a house, and if you don't pay the taxes or if you don't pay your rent, it may move. Or somebody may say, oh, I have to evict you because I need it now. Something like that.
Yeah, and we're obviously seeing multiple companies stepping into this like agentic era, where, you know, Gemini with Gemini Spark, which, you know, it came out recently, and it's great for the Google stuff, the Google Drive stuff, whatever. But like, obviously, you can change its code to fit you, Wolfram, like you do with your Amy, for example. Nisa, I think you had a question as well. Follow up for Karan.
No, I just wanted to also shout out that on the security side, first of all, on the user side, it takes like 2 minutes to install and configure. It's very, very fast. Only the steps that you need are there. And also, I was very paranoid about running OpenClaw because of all the security issues. I have scanned this many times, even looked at myself. So I really like how it was built with as few packages as possible. And and I didn't see any security issues. So quick, nice, lean install, and easy to modify as well. So whenever, like on stream on Discord, whenever we needed some kind of very custom endpoint for stuff, you're able to just like redo the model right there.
I want to go on a super quick tangent here with a bunch of stuff. Hermes, OpenClaw, a bunch of folks are running them on their machine, YOLO, just like, hey, I have access to everything, whatever. I haven't seen a huge explosion in people's personal stuff being exposed by their agent since the whole thing started. Everybody's treating OpenClaw, everybody's treating Hermes like all these like security risks, whatever. The models that most people are running are so good at fucking prompt injection resistance and like other things that I haven't seen a bunch of stuff about like the security stuff online at all. I've seen only warnings. I haven't seen like whatever. Yes, in the beginning there was like a whole thing with like malware in skills, whatever, but like I haven't seen this. Meanwhile, we're seeing Facebook fucking support AI agent letting people replace passwords. Did you guys see this? Like you could just like talk to the support AI agent in Meta and provide somebody else's picture, and it was like, okay, sure, like here's a reset password. Meanwhile, seeing like all these big companies building fucking harnesses out of themselves and not relying on the harnesses that are battle tested with 180,000 commits on stars on GitHub. But I haven't seen like a huge explosion, like personal like breaches. I don't know, Karan, you're building the harness. Have you guys seen people come to you and say, oh, this is horrible? Meanwhile, what I am seeing, let me still go on this tangent, is that NVIDIA comes in with OpenShell and now supports like, you can put Hermes on OpenShell and secure it for an actual run. Meanwhile, like Microsoft is building a bunch of stuff. Would love to hear your thoughts about this, like the personal security stuff in Hermes.
I'd say something like OpenShell is really effective for enterprise style security, like gating, having policies for everything that you want with Nemo Hermes is really, really effective. That being said, like on the general security stuff, like I have to be totally honest, like it's still early days. It's still super early days. Like people are going to face all sorts of horrors from stuff on Claude Code, on Codex, on OpenClaw, everywhere. You need stuff like the OpenShell, Nemo Hermes setup, and other setups like that to protect yourself down the line. You're right. Like when it comes to basic prompt injections of the past, like the models are better. But like, you know how many times like a soda prompt injection or jailbreak or something comes out, and like they've always been tested in vitro because like they've always been tested in the lab because like it's always been that it's this model weights that I pull from some API. Now these things are like out and about in the world, and they're still barely out and about in the world. They peak out and they come back in. They peak out and they come back in. As that becomes more prevalent and they are out more and more, the live tests you'll see of the new exploit or the new jailbreak are going to be in the real world. The back and forth of LLM security and agent security and cybersecurity of agents has not even begun, in my opinion. Like it's just begun. Like you're going to see a lot of this back and forth happening in the future. That's not a reason to worry. It's a surefire sign of technological progress and a surefire sign of societal progress and increase in security. It's what we have to go through every single time there's a new vector for security.
100%. And I think there's also a new vector for personal kind of intelligence assistance. And dude, I will have to say, I prepare for the show with Hermes, and after the show ends, I do a lot of stuff to be able to deliver this on time. And my personal life significantly reduced. Not to mention, I have multiple friends of mine that I install Hermes to. They're running fucking businesses, and they're texting me like, yeah, I don't know like what I would do, like firing personal assistants and putting this on the AI, which is incredible. Karan, we didn't just call you here to glaze on Hermes specifically. You guys did have a release this week. In addition to Jensen calling out, there's a Hermes Desktop. Could you give us like a few sentences on that, and we'll move on to the next topic? But like, I do want to talk about the new view and desktop as well.
For sure. So Hermes Desktop and the new admin view, the general admin view plus OpenShell, et cetera, you could see with these controls of what someone's able to do or not able to do, control multiple people's Hermes agents within you. Roles for particular types of Hermes agents. This is meant to be for big groups. This is meant to be for small businesses. This is meant to be for startup and enterprise, you and your own personal fleet. That's why we've been making these changes. Now, at the same time, we want every single person to be able to use Hermes Agent more easily. Hermes Desktop is the same superpowered Hermes Agent that you have. It's just a version of Hermes that. Very cool.
Yeah, I'm showing the actual desktop UI, which I cannot run on my work laptop, but yeah, I will find this here.
Yeah, so the Hermes Agent Desktop is basically just complete UI with chat interface and all your modular controls for your keys and your permissions that lets you still use Hermes as powerfully as you can today. It also adds a lot more visibility. You can see every tool call, you can see every chain of thought, anything that you need, and you'll be able to use the full power of Hermes just like any other app you would on your desktop.
This is, when you say every other app, I just want to call out, this is Codex level. Like, this is what other like huge labs are launching now. This is this is like very much the same thing. This is a harness plus a UI that runs code on your thing. You can build every automation on there. You can like see the code change. There's a bunch of stuff in there, and now there's like command K and stuff. I definitely check this out as well. You can talk to it as well. Karan, thank you so much for joining us. We have very few items left and very little time to cover them as well. But for folks who haven't tried Hermes Agent yet, definitely this is your invitation to try it. There's the biggest companies in the world are standing there with the Nous Research. That makes me feel so proud to have known you guys just before even like this whole thing started. To just see Jensen shouting out and doing Nemo Hermes and like a bunch of other stuff as well.
I want to shout out and say Thursday podcast has been here from day zero with Nous Research. Some of the people on the podcast, like LDJ, have been some of the earliest contributors to Nous Research. Everyone I'm seeing here on the stage right now is an OG from those days, and you guys make open source possible and worth it. And thank you so much for having me. We wouldn't be the same company without you guys' influence.
Yeah, I appreciate it. The amount of new swag that I have in my closet, I think outcompetes every other swag that I do have in my closet. I'm looking forward for some Hermes Agent merch next time we see each other. Karan, thank you so much for joining. Folks, the last thing, LDJ, you wanted to comment? I saw your hand went up.
Yeah, just one thing I want to add as of recently, just insane the growth. If you look at the global rankings for OpenRouter, and here I'll put the link in the side chat too. It's Hermes Agent in the past month is more global usage on OpenRouter than Claude Code and OpenCloud combined. That's just crazy to me.
That's insane. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So congrats on the success, and we'll be monitoring. And a big new release is Karan. Please come back and talk to us as well. Cheers, man.
Bye.
Thank you for joining. Alrighty, folks. You heard from the co-founder of Nous Research of the incredible success, and you mostly heard from us glazing because it is that good. Yam, I promised in the beginning of the show to play to you how Nistan sounds in Hebrew. Are you still interested in that?
Let's go. Let's go.
Okay, let me see how I can actually do this. But folks, what we talked about is last week, just after the show came out, we had a few breakthroughs in the world of audio and etc. And so ElevenLabs launched Dubbing V2. Let me log in here to ElevenLabs and show you this incredible thing. And so I actually did post this on the newsletter. So if you are following the newsletter, you know what I'm about to play. Let me see if guys, I'm going to play something. Let me know if you can hear this, okay? So now I'm going to dub the next sentence that you'll hear. Awesome. Okay. So ElevenLabs created a new dubbing system, and I tested it out, and my mind went absolutely bonkers because the benefits of this dubbing system is that it dubs the cadence of your voice, but also in expressions. So it doesn't only translate you to text and then tries to play your voice. They take the actual voice from the clip and then somehow make it work. And so here's us speaking Italian, which I don't speak. Here's me and Nistan. Let me see if it loads super quick. Molte di Intel, tipo tutto ciò che alimenta le banche, gli ospedali, tutto quanto in un anno. 7 volte più acqua va a quelle cazzo di mandorle. So I have no idea what cazzo di mandorle is, but I know for a fact that this is a swear word because I used a swear word on the stream and it translated this. Here's Nistan in Hebrew, just for fun.
התפיסה המוטעית הזו התחילה מאיזה, היה מאמר אחד או מחקר אחד שפורסם, והם בלבלו שם בין מיליליטרים לליטרים במחקר הזה, ואז זה תוקן. אז יצא שהם יראו, אני חושב שזה היה בצ'ילה או משהו, שהם משתמשים פי 1000 יותר מים ממה שהם באמת השתמשו. חוץ מזה, הסיבה שאמזון בנט המרכזי נתונים, הם לא משתמשים במים בכלל, אבל הם בסופו של דבר משתמשים...
You guys have to look at Yam's face to appreciate what the fuck just happened.
Ragazzi, that's crazy. It's perfect.
Possiamo fare tutto il show di Thursday in italiano adesso.
Man, wow.
This is
No, that was me. That was not AI.
Bro, I'm saying when I heard myself speak in and this is a very interesting thing because like I do speak Russian, I do speak Hebrew. When I translate myself in Russian, I can hear the stuff that I would say differently. But listen, you don't speak Hebrew, and to me, this sounds like you would sound if you'd learn Hebrew right now. And the fact that it grabbed. I don't hear your accent in English at all.
I could hear my own accent.
Yes, I can hear your accent translated to a different language. This is bonkers to me. This is just like,
crazy.
It's out of the realm of what I thought Transformers would be able to get us to. For sure.
I mean, you expect them to do this, but you don't think about this.
No.
Like someone is going to do it. Like it's completely surprising that someone did this. But I mean, it completely makes sense, but... Man, that's cool.
Okay, a little bit more. Here's Nistan in Russian.
Но даже если посчитать то, что они тратят, вода, которая используется как жидкий хладагент и сильно нагревается от видеокарт, идет по контуру охлаждения.
This is literally the Russian influencers that are on Instagram teaching about AI. This is how they sound 100%.
It's crazy because you recognize the voice.
Yes.
It is seriously good.
So
really,
ElevenLabs when they launched this,
voice.
Yeah, ElevenLabs when they launched dubbing before, they obviously work with Lex Friedman. You guys remember we talked about the very exciting conversation with Lex and Zelensky when they cloned their voices. They did this with a clone of their voices, with a like long, deep clone of like 2 hours of their voice, etc. And then they replayed the parts and they played with the TTS. This is one model that takes a very short clip with no train. I didn't have to do anything besides just upload the clip and say which languages I want, and they support like a bunch of languages. Also, we know, Yam, from your experience with like the Hebrew LLMs, there's not a lot of data out there for Hebrew. Hebrew is not like a very like vast language that is everywhere. The fact that it was able to do this at all, I was like very surprised. The fact that it does this well and it's like understood, I was just absolutely mind blown. So folks, if you're listening to this and you're like, what the fuck are they talking about? They're talking about ElevenLabs Dubbing V2, which is an absolutely just mind-blowing model that you have to try. It's worth the $5 whatever ElevenLabs asked for it in the beginning. I think it was free for like a week to just try it out. Wolfgang, we didn't do German, but like I would love to hear from you like its performance on German. It's just absolutely mind-blowing. Here is Nistan speaking Spanish, by the way.
En el techo y hacen pasar agua por ellas y esa agua se evapora y eso hace. Try Italian because I speak Italian with an accent. So we just,
you do speak Italian? Okay.
How fast is it? Like when you try?
I was like, it took less than a minute for like the 5 clones. It's definitely fast. I don't know how fast it is now, but like definitely decently fast. I'm not gonna show this on stage, but because I don't want to like show off my kids. But this is my kid. Here's her counting to 10 in English.
Hi, my name is Emma, and I love doing projects.
This is a dubbing of Emma because she said this in the original Russian language. This is what she said.
Привет, меня зовут Эмма, и я люблю делать проекты.
And just
it copies the intonation.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Dude, it's great. You know what it copies as well? You know how we started before the word? Like it copies the fucking starters in a different language. Now, the craziest thing, again, I edited down a video of this. And at the end of this video, this is what I showed. Let me show you. This is kind of the thing that I did. I did the very short sentence in 5 languages. So now I'm going to dub the next sentence that you'll hear in 5 idiomas para que vean la prueba. ¿Vale? Bueno, mi nombre è Alex Volkov, ok? אני אוהב אנגלית בינה מלאכותית. אני אוהב לדבר על modo positivo e lo faccio da 3 anni e mezzo a questa parte года каждую неделю в прямом эфире. So I spoke this like short sentence with very like strong energy as I do here. And when I put it in the editor, I noticed that the length of the stuff that I'm saying are different in different languages. Obviously, in Spanish, they can shorten like everything, right? German is every word is 17,000 characters. It's like different languages have different cadences. This takes care of that entirely. The whole segment of 14 seconds, it was able to fit in everything I need to say in the 14 seconds, but the timings were different. So this model also moves the linguistic like characteristics.
Alignment, yeah. Alignment.
Absolutely incredible.
Just cool.
And the last piece, I really want to like
Так что, если вам нравится этот контент,
hold on. Let me find this on X. The last thing that I want to like show here is that obviously the downside of this one is when you dub, your lips don't sync to what you speak, right? But we live in such an incredible place that that's also possible to solve. I will find where's my dubbing here. Okay, let me show you this. Okay, so this is kind of the I'm not. Give me a sec.
Does it do it out of the box, or did you do another tool? Or
No. So they don't do out of the box. Out of the box, it kind of looks like janky.
Hey.
Let me scroll to the actual thing. So here is the non-lip synced version. Okay, so you can see voice, and then it also understands intonation. This is me speaking English. I find it incredible. Now I'm gonna dub the next. So this is me speaking English, and the first sentence is going to be dubbed and lip synced as well.
Окей? Итак, меня зовут Алекс Волков, я евангелист, я de forma positiva.
So you saw the Russian one, it's literally like 5 seconds, but this was lip synced. You kind of can see it, but just the level of where we are right now, you can like translate somebody with their emotion, intonation, and also make their lips move to the new language is just mind blowing.
Now I'm gonna dub the next.
This is me natural
here in 5 languages, so you'll see the test.
And this is the lip sync.
Меня зовут Алекс Волков, я евангелист.
It's really good. This is ElevenLabs, and it's just, guys, we live in such a beautiful time. It's incredible. And
In
also,
Germany,
don't trust anything that you see online. There's nothing.
over here in Germany, when a new movie comes out, it is completely translated in German. So real professional dubbing people are doing this, and there's basically no need anymore. And everybody can have their original voices just in the language you are speaking. Amazing.
Very interesting. So we're glazing, but we have a new commenter here said, tested ElevenLabs dubbing in Latvian to English. While the speaker similarity was a promise, it did revert to Latvian halfway through, leaving 64% of the audio untranslated. That's very interesting. I haven't like tested it on long sequences. I did test it on short ones. But this is just one of the things that I wanted to show you as a super fast. Nistan, what's your comments on you speaking Hebrew? And then we can close out the show. I think we've been on for 2.5 hours.
Yeah, but grazie signori e signori, un'altra bellissima settimana qua thursdai. See you all. That was pretty good.
Not too bad. That's not too bad. And next show, Nista will speak Hebrew, like original proper Hebrew. Folks, I want to just make sure that we ran through pretty much everything. The only thing is the Nemotron ASR, we weren't able to test and show you. The other thing that dropped last week was Cartesia Ink 2 ASR, and I definitely can show you that. Definitely will show you that.
Oh yeah, that's the last thing. I do want to hear that.
Yes. Cartesia AI. Let's try.
Wait, was that a speech generator or?
So no, Cartesia has a speech generator. They also released Sonic is their speech generator, but Cartesia has the Ink one. It's a speech-to-text model, and let's see.
Can you pronounce Claude Code correctly? And
so Nistan is asking if you can pronounce Claude Code correctly. Claude Code.
Nope.
I think the thing is, Nissan, as always with these models, and I'm going to keep talking and you guys can just hear this working, is that you have to precondition them to say the specific words. And Claude does sound like cloud, unless I'm French, is saying Claude. No.
do they add the feature to add in the things?
Not in the online interface. I don't see the precondition in the online interface, but you guys can see I'm talking and words just show up. This is absolutely just fast and incredible. Ink 2. Obviously, we just saw that Nemotron ASR also released, and I haven't been able to test this, but Nemotron ASR was supposed to be as fast as this. But I'm speaking very fast right now. My name is Alex Volkov. I'm an AI evangelist with weights and biases, and this is the end of the Thursday AI show where I'm speaking very fast. And though still, this Cartesia Ink 2 is capturing everything that I'm saying almost in real time. It's incredible. Right? Isn't this incredible, folks? Where are you guys?
What are the other tokens? Like, what are the yellow ones?
Wait, hold on. I want to find you because the yellow ones, I think it's the speed of
I think it's
the turn end.
Yeah, I'm just saying you have like 3 turn ends in your turn.
No, it's a time step. It just keeps adding to it, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is Cartesia Ink. Too, and sorry, Wolfram, go ahead.
It's doing punctuation, so it's setting the commas and periods and so on, doing a good job with this.
Yeah. This is one of the coolest kind of like ASR, and you guys know I love ASR. I used to build like Targum, whatever. LDJ, go ahead, just jump in there.
Yeah, a little fun fact here is Cartesia, their chief scientist Albert Gu is the co-creator of Mamba, alongside man, how did I forget? Oh, Treedao, yeah. I almost forgot his name. Yeah, and so I think they actually mentioned they went into some details about the architectures and technologies they're using for the Cartesia models and using these more alternative architecture choices or hybrid models in order to get these gains and able to have these really efficient real-time models.
It's super dope. It's really fast. Their API is fairly cheap as well. So unless you find the NVIDIA one much better for you, I asked my Hermes agent to implement this to its own. And let me see if I can actually show off how quick this works. Let's see if we're able to do share screen with sound to show you guys how quick this works, because it works really quick. Let me go hide this. Let me see. Okay. This will probably fail, but hey, Wolfred, how are you? Respond with voice. The only thing that oh, you guys not seeing my screen? Okay, so this is my Telegram screen. This is my Telegram screen. It's already replied. By the time I'm pulling this up on the window, let's see if I can pull this up. No? Okay. Give me 1 second, folks. Meanwhile, Wolfram, I want to hear from you if you were able to implement something like this, or like test around, play around with this.
Yeah, I'm using. Basically Telegram is for voice input just as easily. I send voicemail, or WhatsApp. I send voice messages sometimes. Yeah, worked out of the box. I didn't have to do much.
So I implemented like Cartesia specifically, and that's not out of the box. But here's an example, folks. That's what I played. This will probably fail, but hey, Wolfred, how are you? Respond with voice.
I'm here, Alex. Slightly offended by probably fail, but alive, sharp, and apparently capable of talking back. Wolfpack systems nominal.
So, not bad for a sleeping audiobook. So.
It's not bad, but the voice is a little bit sleepy. How fast can you reply to me, and what language, what ASR model are we using? So I just want to like show you guys in real time. So I just sent the voice. You already see the typing thing. Cartesia is really fast, so it's probably already transcribed. And the thing is, sometimes the agents would need to go and like look up skills, like in this case, before the kind of reply. But after that, the actual generation of voice from Cartesia end to end is like nearly instantaneous. So like this took 30 seconds.
You just plugged it into Hermes? Or
yes, I asked Hermes like, hey, here's an API key, go figure this out. And now it speaks back when it needs to speak back. And you'll see this in a second show up. Here it is, audio is sending, there it is.
Noted on Sleepy. Current voice is Cartesia Sonic 3.5, Daniel Modern Assistant, speed 1.0. So yes, he has a tiny competent but caffeination questionable vibe. For ASR, we're using Cartesia STT through a custom Hermes command provider, Model Ink Whisper. Your message came through as English, but the pipeline should handle multilingual speech reasonably well, speed-wise. If I don't need...
Well, folks, this is, yeah, it looks like folks need to drop as well. But this was Cartesia Ink 2 inside Hermes that we talked about as well. What a show today, folks. We had Chris Alexiuk from NVIDIA talk to us about the biggest release in open source for a while from NVIDIA, Nemotron and RTX laptops, and the NVIDIA 3.5 ASR. We had Peter Gostev drop new things on Arena AI, the agent arena that we now looked into and saw the Grok, Grok 4.3 is not that great at fixing itself in Agentic. We also had Karan, the co-founder of Nous Research, to talk about the Hermes and success, the thing that we did not speak about was weights and biases and CoreWeave. So we'll definitely do that, folks, even without the transition. This weekend, there's a hackathon. And if you're in San Francisco, please join us at lu.ma/weavehacks. We are doing a hackathon together with OpenAI and Cursor. And we have over $150 of credits for you to build very, very cool things. As you heard before, Nissan, who just dropped, just won the hackathon elsewhere. Winning a hackathon gives you great chances to go online. Also, Wolfram mentioned this before, but I really want to show this like super quick because I think it's very important. Wolfbench has a new feature that I want you guys to see. Wolfram, you want to explain this really quick? Why this matters?
Sure. Are you showing it? Okay.
Yes.
So what if you scroll a little bit down, so with the model name, we see that on the second spot, basically, the second best model is Gemini 3.5 Flash on this benchmark, which is a lot of benchmarks here, the terminal bench and so on. But so they look very close, and they are very close in performance. But something these bars never show is how many tokens did it use to get that score. So we have now a toggle at the top where you can turn a 3D mode on, and now we see the depth of the bar is actually how many tokens it used. So 1 pixel is a couple thousand or even million of tokens. And if you hover over one of the bars, then you see, just move the mouse on top of it, and then keep it still, and then it will do a pop-up. It should do one. If you hover over it, and it shows you how many tokens. So it was over 3 billion tokens for the Flash model compared to just a couple of 150 or something for the GPT 5.5. So that is something to keep in mind. You may use a cheaper and faster model, but it still has to generate a lot more tokens to get to the same capability level. And you have to really do the calculations to see if the time it takes to generate all the tokens and the money it costs, if that is if it's still a good deal, or if you should.
Wolfram, this is incredible. This is incredible. Specifically, what I'm seeing now is that Gemini 2.5 Flash is like number 2 on the Agentic scores overall. But the amount of tokens it uses, this doesn't show it on the share screen, so I'll just read it out. Tokens in is 3 billion, out is 15.7 million. 3 billion tokens?
Yeah, that's the input tokens, basically. So the input is usually much more. Normally it's 99% input tokens. And that can happen for various reasons. One of the reasons could be that the agent made a mistake and ingested a large file, and the agent harness is not restricting that. That could be one of the reasons. So I will definitely write a blog post about this on our Weights and Biases blog, what is happening in the background. But that way you can really see, if you were running the agent that way, you would have that kind of tokens, and the bill would also be reflecting that.
Yeah. So definitely you can see that GPT 5.5 is the most incredible agentic model compared to
Hermes
Agent,
without
OpenClaw,
using that many tools.
And Cursor Agent as well. Well, thanks so much for this, folks. This has been Thursday. It's been a pleasure. We've been on the air for more than 2.5 hours. We had incredible guests and incredible news week, incredible packed news week. If you missed any part of the show is available to you everywhere that you get your podcast. It's available to you on Spotify, on Apple, on YouTube. An edited version of the show comes to YouTube as well. I want to send a huge thanks to you, the listeners who show up and comment. We really appreciate comments from you guys as well today. We did not get the update from OpenAI today that some folks were meaning that maybe it's going to come. I'm very happy that we didn't, because we're already 2.5 hours in and we didn't cover everything. But if you like this, and if this show is valuable to you, and if you like the energy and the guests and the type of stuff that we talked about and the depth of technical stuff that we go into, please give us a subscribe everywhere that you get your podcast. Give us a 5-star review. With over almost 2,000 folks tuning into the stream, this is Alex Volkov, AI Evangelist with Weights and Biases CoreWeave, Wolfram, AI Evangelist with Weights and Biases CoreWeave, Jan Pelek and LDJ. We had Nistan here before, and other 3 great co-hosts. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're signing out. We'll see you here next week. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thanks, Alex, for hosting.
Thank you.